This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, welcome to the Author Showcase. And this is our 2025 version of this wonderful event. We've been doing this now. This will be the third time, I believe. And every time it's different, and we learn so many things. And it's just one of my favorite things to do, to bring together my favorite people, everyone who's writing stories and writing their books. It's an incredible community. So I always start everything I do with a little prayer. I don't think anybody who's here would mind that too much. So let's do that together, shall we? So let's just all turn within. Let's take a big breath together and let it out. And let's just give ourselves permission to enter into that sweet, sacred silence. Let's release and let go of any expectations about how tonight should unfold. Any bit of holding on, any bit of been there, done that. Let's just allow ourselves, it's April Fool's Day. Let's allow ourselves to be like the fool in tarot that knows nothing and doesn't need to know anything, is quite happy being blissfully wide open. So let's all just acknowledge this holiday and be in that place of wide openness. And we allow in the sunlight of the Spirit, this power, this presence of love, intelligence that governs the universe, that is everywhere all the time, right here, right now. So we just know that it is closer to us than our breathing, nearer than our hands and feet. And we come together in this privilege and this excitement to get to talk about and be in the midst of storytelling and book writing and publishing. And we know that something beautiful is unfolding here, not just for us, but for all involved. For as we are lifted, all are lifted. And with this, I just say thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. A woman, authors. I think there's a lot of words that, being an author, being awesome, being, there's just a lot of, I'm sure there's going to be some wordplay tonight, as there often is with me. Okay, so one of the reasons why I do this, I'm just going to introduce myself briefly. So for anybody who's read any of my work, you know that once upon a time I was a struggling gal in Hollywood, having a few breakthroughs every once in a while, but kind of beat up by the industry. And in my mid to early 20s, I didn't want to be on the planet. My everything had just gone dark, and I felt like I had given my power away to anybody who seemed to be somebody who could make me into something. And so it was like giving away my power to the highest bidder. And at some point, I became absolutely empty. And I thought that was the worst thing that could happen, where I just didn't want to be on the planet anymore. But it preceded me going into therapy, going into all things spirituality, crystals, hypnotherapy, all things. And nothing exactly fixed me, but I did start to get my dreams back, and my dreams have been a big part of my healing path for myself, and that's part of what I teach to others. But when I noticed the tide really turning from being disempowered, giving my power away, to standing in my power, it was when I began to write. It was when I began to own my story and tell my story, even just to myself. The power of writing my own story, it helped to aright me. It helped me to own the path I was on. It helped me to own my mistakes. It helped me to own the problems that I seemed to have, the cycles. And it helped me to, it's like I got to wrap my arms around my life for the first time. And it stopped being about, does anybody else like me? Does anybody else want me? I started to like and want myself. And then when I published my first book was self-published. it was a game changer. I felt like it was truly taking authority of my own life. And that first book led to, now I've written, this will be my 11th book coming out in September, thanks to Deborah, my agent, who's here, and to Joel Fontanos, who is also here, my publisher. And along the way, I feel like it is this yellow brick road of empowerment. Writing is empowering. And what I stand for as a dream expert is helping people to awaken to their dreamiest life, to come out of the nightmare of disempowerment and into owning your power. And one way of doing that is to write. And to take it to the next level, it's to get your work published and then to share it. In The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell doesn't end the hero's journey just when the hero has the insight, has the wisdom. The hero's journey isn't complete until you share the elixir, basically what you've learned and earned through your trials and tribulation, when you share them with other people or put them in such a way that it can be shared. So to me, this is a noble act. It is a therapeutic act. Writing is the best therapy in town, I say. And I think it's one of the best ways that we can contribute our wisdom. It's good karma. So with all of that said, I want to just give a few little statistics. So it's going to sound bad, but then it'll get better, I promise. So about 83% of people on the planet say they want to write a book. And only 3% of those people ever actually do finish writing a book. And of those 3% that finish writing a book, only 1 to 2% of those people actually publish their book. And one of those reasons is because they go it alone. They really don't know what they're doing. And with a little bit of support and a little bit of help, they could actually flip that script. So that's what we do here at the Authors Showcase. There's guidance and support and nurturing and professional support, professional wisdom along the way so that your odds are greatly improved. So you actually flip that ratio. That's what we're doing here. So we'll talk a little bit more about how you can be involved in the Authors Showcase if anybody wants to later. But tonight this is the culmination of 12 weeks of hard but joyous work. So enough about me, enough about what the Authors Showcase is. I want to introduce my celebrity guests. These are the publishing professionals that I've invited to be here tonight to share their guidance and their wisdom. They're the ones you really want to hear from. And then we're going to hear each of the authors share their piece, and these publishing professionals are going to weigh in and give their feedback. So first of all, let me introduce Deborah Jacobs. She is a very successful literary agent, owning Dancing Word Group Agency since 2008, representing both mainstream and higher consciousness authors. She's been an influential businesswoman and speaker, and she's also an author herself. She founded and served as editor-in-chief of Mystic Pop magazine for 9 years. She's also the author of A Happy Move, and she's been my agent for the past 20 years. So Deborah Jacobs, I'm just going to spotlight her for 1 second. Everyone just give her some jazz hand high fives. Woo! We'll hear more from her in a little bit. And then we've got Thea Rodemaker, and she is the founder and president of Flint Hills Publishing. It's a hybrid press dedicated to the creation of inspiring, educational, and thoughtful books. Their catalog is eclectic, socially conscious, fiction, memoir, historical, nonfiction, spiritual and personal growth, young adult, cookbooks, and children's books. Her website is flinthillspublishing.com. So Thea, I'm going to just give her a little spotlight. Everybody can give her some jazz hands. And we'll hear from Thea in just a little bit. And then Joel. So I wanted there to be several people for you to meet. An agent, which is what you need first, and then there's a hybrid publisher, that's Thea, and now we've got traditional publisher. I'm going to bring Joel, I'm going to spotlight him as I read his bio here. So Joel Fontanos is a publisher, author, speaker, and minister. He lives in New Jersey with his family and works in New York City. Joel is the founder, vice president, and editorial director of St. Martin's Essentials, one of the most successful lifestyle imprints in the industry today. Prior to that, Joel was the publisher of the Tarcher imprint at Penguin Random House for 21 years, where he published many national bestsellers. He also worked at the San Francisco office of HarperCollins and was the religious and philosophy buyer at the famed Tattered Cover bookstore in Denver, Colorado. I've been there. It's such a cool store. An ordained minister with the Centers for Spiritual Living, Photinos speaks and gives ongoing classes at the Center for Spiritual Living in North New Jersey. Joel has written over a dozen books himself, which have been published in 14 languages. Joel's also narrated more than a dozen audiobooks, including the nationally best-selling audio editions of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Joel's popular video course on Think and Grow Rich is starting April 5th. Oh my goodness, in a few days, through the website gildedwing.com. Or guildwing.com. glidewing.com. GLIDE wing.com. Joel's worked with Juliet Cameron and The Artist's Way for 29 years and leads Artist's Way groups on Zoom and in person. His next two groups will be starting this April, a beginner's group with The Artist's Way and a group using Julia's acclaimed book, Right for Life. For more information on signing up for those groups or getting on his mailing list, you can email Joel through his website, joelphotinos.com. So jazz hands for Joel, everybody. I'm so excited. So thank you, Joel, for being here. All right, so how tonight's going to go is I'm going to introduce each author individually with their short bio, and then they're going to read about between 1,000 and 1,200 words, about 3 pages, that is a representation of the book that they're working on. And then I'll open it up to our publishing panel, and I'll have you all give a few words of comment, any insight, any support, any whatever, and you can riff on any of the principles that you think are important, basically kind of the do's and don'ts of publishing or writing, anything that you see. Let your wisdom just percolate naturally. And I'm going to spotlight Joey Sutton, who's the first author, and I'm going to just give you her little bio. Joey Sutton is a certified holistic health counselor, former LA hairstylist, author of numerous ebooks on health and wellness. She's a mental health educator for the NAMI organization, National Alliance on Mental Illness, and a current host with yours truly, moi, in our podcast called Anatomy of Friendship. Her book is called Falling in Love with My Shadows, Healing the Dysfunctional Family Within. It's a memoir / self-help book about Joey's colorful and intimate family and relationships with people with mental illness, drug addiction, workaholism, alcoholism, every ism there is. Though she sought healing in a multitude of ways from a life filled with codependence, physical and mental anguish, her most astonishing transformation began when she was confronted by her inner rageaholic, who inspired her to love her way to health, which gave her the title of her company. Okay, Joey, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, our sweet panel, for being here for us. It's really amazing. And Kelly, for your incredible womb. This piece is entitled, I'm Not Gay, My Girlfriend Is. August 2002. My nephew Hunter's searing aqua eyes glowed against his red, tear-rimmed lids. Slumped into the beige, shabby chic flowered couch, Hunter pleaded, "Don't be gay, Auntie, for me, please." "I'm not gay, my girlfriend is," I said, attempting levity. "It's not funny, Auntie." He crossed his arms over his chest. My nervous energy cleaned up scattered Pokemon cards and removed Legos from the coffee table. Standing still, hands surrendered by my side, I stopped and faced him. "I know. That was unbelievably awkward," I admitted. "You think?" Hunter encouraged the sofa cushions to swallow him between their seams. Blue striped swim trunks bunched at his knees, revealing young adult leg hair. He stared a hole into the murky beige apartment carpet as if willing it to swallow him. I wished it would swallow me too. An hour earlier, Krista and I stole a moment to walk back to my apartment for a snack, leaving Hunter to swim with our neighbors. My cherub-faced son, Cole, half Hunter's age, was at his dad's house, providing an opportunity to be alone. As soon as the door closed, Krista's lips found mine. We skipped the snack and danced our way into my bedroom. Her hand removed my bathing suit top with one pull. Closing the door, we dropped bathing suits and towels, breadcrumbs on the floor. Krista peeled back my favorite red flowered Egyptian cotton sheets, our bodies magnetized with ionic newness and the scent of patchouli mingled with chlorine and sweat. She laid her thin, tan body on mine, one long arm encircling my whole torso while holding herself up with the other. Our lips melted together. Then Hunter burst in. Auntie! In a single heartbeat, adrenaline replaced my luxurious river of oxytocin. Krista's reflexes pulled a pillow over her sun-kissed skin. Her vast green eyes froze open. Her face, a mood ring, matching the sheets I scrambled to hide behind. Nervous laughter puffed through me. I imagined Hunter's teenage brain computing what his wide eyes saw, another blow to his struggle for normalcy. A sharp beam of sunlight slanted through the window, spotlighting our queerness. He stumbled out, crashing into the door against the wall to escape this scene. Oh, shit, Krista whispered. Fuck, I said. The bathroom door clicked shut. Fumbling to dress, I hopped into my purple lace underwear, jean shorts, and lavender tank top resting on my nightstand. A few quick beats later, I leaned my forehead against the bathroom door in prayer. Please help me. My voice reached through the door seams laced in compassion. Hunter, please unlock the door. My younger self, the one who'd been caught in compromising positions too many times, thought to shrink into shame. But my adult self, the one embracing love that finally made sense, declined to diminish me. Hunter, please. I tapped on the door again. A click, and the door cracked open. I stepped forward, arms open on automatic. Flinching in backward momentum, his hand shot up, a wall between us. Don't touch me, and ew, your fly is open. Redundantly, I turned around, facing the mirror to zip up. My reflection revealed messy, dark hair, bronzed olive skin defined by contrasting tan marks, and still flushed cheeks. Returning in his direction, I lifted myself onto the counter, backing away from the boy who was now merging with the wall behind the toilet nook. My gut pinged with hot asteroids. Moms shouldn't be gay. The thought forced its opinion. Hunter's mom detoxed from heroin on methadone when he was in her womb and left when he was 3 months old. I claimed him as my own and helped his dad, my brother Jeff, raise him. Jeff was drowning in his second divorce to the stepmom who secretly and creatively abused Hunter. She locked him naked in the car in the snow, tied him up to a post in the barn. I was Hunter's one stable person and desperately wanted to remain that way. Honey, I'm still adjusting to this myself. This isn't how I wanted you to find out about us, I said. Tell her to go home, he said. Sorry for the typo, guys. That won't fix this, Hunter. I'm so sorry to add complications to your life. At least this one is based in love. It's disgusting, his words spat, but at least he was talking. He peeled away from the wall and sat on the closed toilet seat, his lips unpursed, bright red color returning, a tiny victory. Now I can't bring friends over. They'll laugh at me, he said, slumping over. I know it feels weird, but I'm hoping you can eventually accept us. Easy for you to say, he humphed. Not really. I'm going to have to walk through fire for this. Can't you just not? For me? He pleaded, losing steam. I can't change myself to please everyone, sweetheart, I said. I'm not everyone, Aunt Joey. Standing, he slid along the glass door of our shower and escaped the room. He often called me Mom or Auntie Mommy. Aunt Joey was a demotion. At least he left me with the soft E sound on the name of my name and didn't just refer to me as Joe. I claimed the hope. After finishing making the bed with hospital corners to erase the evidence, Krista sat on its edge. What happened? She said. He needs time. Her arms and legs opened, she invited me in. Her head melted into my chest. I breathed in her lingering patchouli and inhaled my first full breath. Are you okay? I whispered. Not really. I hate making excuses for us, she said. Electricity twisted in my belly. Shocked at her response, I pulled away. Is that all you have to say? Don't you have any compassion? He's 15. He's going to have to face being different in 100 ways. This is just one of them, she said. You're so hard, Krista. I looked at her now, my warmth evaporating. It's just the way it is. I've had to deal with being different my whole life. Then where is your soft spot for him? I said. He should be happy I love you and show it, Joe. It's more than I can say for the men you've been with. She was right, but something still felt wrong. My agitation was used to straighten affirmation books and move hair clips and rubber bands into the drawer. I left the room. Hunter sat on the couch, heavy eyes locked on TV, The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron. You hungry? I asked Hunter. No response. His eyes were now fixed on the hole he bored into the carpet, the one we both wished we would swallow our pain. Yeah, he finally said. Why don't I make lunch? Mac and cheese? Okay. With carrots? He surrendered. Of course. We'll get through this, I said. Krista came out of the room, looked over at Hunter, saying to him, You okay? My body warmed again. He shrugged, but it was a start. If we were going to have to walk through fire, this was just the first flame.
Yay, Joe. Okay, I'm going to bring Devra and I'm adding Thea and I'm adding Joel. Okay, I think there you all are. So let's see. Any of you feel like commenting first? Maybe all ladies first. So, Devra.
Knew you'd come to me first. Um, well, as I had told Joe months and months ago, Joey, I still am interested in representing us. I think there's a powerful message here for those who have kind of been unheard, if that makes sense. And I think it would commercially do extremely well because of that. But it doesn't surprise me. You're an incredible writer, and so that's all I have to say.
Yay. Thea. Thank you, Devra.
Well, I want to work really hard to get that statistic of authors, the publishing statistic up. So I work very quickly. And I can tell you my very fast response to this, like Deborah, I think this book needs to be published. Your writing is strong, your descriptions are terrific, and the timeliness of the topic. This is, these messages you're speaking about need to be expressed. And I love that even in that short piece that you gave us, I saw the growth, and that's what I'm always looking for in memoir. What are you teaching us? I can imagine that you have a lot of themes in this book, and I would be looking to see how you incorporate those. Do you weave them well, which I suspect you do, and how do you conclude them? So, bravo. I think it's terrific.
Thank you, Thea. Okay, Mr. Joel Fotinos.
I concur with what my colleagues have said all of those things. I thought, first of all, it was beautifully written and beautifully read. That's also a talent. I liked the arc of what you read. It's hard to talk about an entire project from just hearing 3 or 4 pages of it. So I have to rely a little bit on the information that's in the packet. And I think the thing that I would probably say is, if I were to offer something constructive, is it says here the book is Falling in Love with My Shadows, Healing the Dysfunctional Family Within. That subtitle to me makes it sound like a self-help book that other people can use, like a step-by-step. But what you read was really just memoir. And so to me, it's less about healing the dysfunctional family within and maybe my journey of healing my dysfunctional family within, or something, just for clarity's sake, so that people know that they're getting more memoir. Unless, the fuller manuscript does include some practical aspects in it. So just clarity with the way that it's positioned.
Great feedback. Thank you so much. I'm honored. Thank you, everybody.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Phew. I am going to, wow, if I could only figure out how to undo everybody's spotlights. Okay, give me 1 second. There we go. Removing spotlights. I don't like removing spotlights. I like adding them. Okay, I'm going to bring up, I think Karina is next. Is that true? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about who's next. We've got Karina Grandma. She's a Moldovan refugee. And if you don't know where that is, it's right by Ukraine. She was raised in Canada. She's a writer, a singer, a brand consultant, now based in LA, thank God, where she enjoys living on a property shared with friends and driving her van north into the mountains every chance she gets. Her website is bymasastudio.com. Karina, and where are you, Karina? Wave your hand. There you are. Okay, honey, take it away. By the way, I have a funny story of how I met Karina. I met Karina in a book. Our friend Aspen Mattis wrote a book called Your Blue Is Not My Blue, and Karina was one of the heroes in this book. And Aspen said, "Hey, you want to meet Karina?" I was like, oh, starstruck. Yes, I got to meet Karina. And she was so amazing in the book, and she's 1,000 times greater in real life. So anyway, take it away, Karina.
Thank you, Cal. It's great to be here with all of you. So for a little bit of context, this is just the first, it's not a complete essay as Joey's beautiful one was. These are the first pages of a chapter. So there's definitely some unanswered questions, but hopefully you can follow and enjoy the setup. The piece is called, well, the chapter, What One Can Do with a Knife. I arrive at Shasta City Park just after dark. The Levi's blue sky is still lighter than the black silhouettes of tall fir trees guarding the parking lot, but barely. My tires crunch past a headwaters sign indicating the trail to the headwaters of the Sacramento River. The girl making my breakfast at a cafe near Shasta Lake this morning told me I should visit. Water from the spring is rumored to be healing. I pull into a spot and grab the glass water bottle I bought last week from a boutique in Nevada City. When my phone lit up at that checkout counter with the first text from my brother in over 2 years, it knocked a sweating beat from my heart. I'd unblocked him a few days earlier as I watched the red perimeter around the Palisades fire creep closer to his house on watchduty.org and built the courage to text and ask if he was okay, needed a safe place to go. His reply jumped off my screen and into my core before I knew to shield it. You're dead to me. I'd gone so white that my friend Sophia read it over my shoulder and pulled me into a bear hug. My ears rang, my body drained of energy. His words echoed those of our father said to me when I was 12 and finally told him to leave, after another night he'd spent drunk, raging at our mother in the kitchen. He'd poked his finger toward my face and leaned in to spit, "You're not my daughter anymore." From my driver's seat, I tried to gauge how far the trail goes and whether I feel safe. My brother would hate the thought of me entering an unknown forest alone after dark. He'd warned me of strangers with intentions I don't know, but the people I fear most aren't strangers. It's houses like his that I don't like to enter, taut with the tension of rage, darkened by curtains that he likes to keep closed for privacy. Two figures emerge from the far end of the trail and walk towards the lot, and I squint to discern their silhouettes in the dark. They reveal themselves to be two 30-something women hauling water jugs to their car, lost in conversation. If they're not worried about being here right now, why should I be? I slip out of my slides and pull on sneakers from under the passenger seat just in case. When I get out of my van, the place feels serene. If I'd made it while it was still light out, I'd be enchanted by this place. These trees don't transform at nightfall. They're still the same kind and lovely trees that watch over this place by day. They'll watch over me by night, too. I can hear water rushing just out of sight and walk into the shadow of the woods. Before I know it, the spring apparates. The surface glistens with reflected light from a distant moon watching through dense branches. I feel rude to ask to take the spring's water right away, so I sit on a set of rock steps on the right of the spring source to get acquainted first. The more time I spend outside, the more I've come to believe the idea that we can only truly love what we spend time getting to know. I inhale and try to look through all my senses. The air smells crisp, cold. The water is clear to the stones at the bottom, dark and cool, sucking my fingertips as I greet her. The boughs of young trees look as though they're holding hands, and I thrill to be among evergreens again. They let me rest in a way that's hard for me to feel back in the desert stretches, oak canyons, and wind-ravaged coastlines of Southern California. Then I tilt my attention inwards. My gut has been gripped with guilt every day since I first blocked my brother's number, and I notice the intensity has been refreshed. My looping mind still tries to convince me that our relationship is a puzzle I need to become smart enough to solve. I've drafted dozens of unsent messages, each enfolded with hope that they might be capable of releasing the dam of our resentment to allow us to float into a reunion like those I dream about. We'd finally collapse into the soft of each other's arms, sob our sorries into each other's shoulders, let our anger melt with the relief of surviving the rapids of our past. Now I feel dumb for going against my therapist's advice and letting my hope that he's softened bring me back into the line of his fire. My head feels buzzy and tired. A panting Rottweiler appears and pokes her curious nose into my face, tongue lolling. Her person steps off the trail and up to a tree near the pool where I watch him uncap and pour water from a 20-liter jug. He whistles to the dog and turns to see where she went. Sherpa, here, girl. His voice spills out light, kind. Oh, hi, he adds, noticing me. I thought you were a tree. He shakes his head and laughs it off. Sorry to scare you, I respond, standing up so I don't remain in the shadows. No, you didn't scare me, he assures me with an easy smile. Closer now, I can see that he's a few years younger than me, maybe 25, with the thin blonde beard and full cheeks rosy from the cold. Have you been here before, I ask, as he pulls off his boots, wanting to get him talking to get a better feel for him. Yeah, it's been ages since I've been here, though. He stands and hops easily from stone to stone all the way to where the waters first rush out from under the rocks of the headwaters, making me feel lazy for planning to dip my bottle into the stiller waters down by the edge of the pool, because I didn't want to make the extra effort to cross a few stones to the source. You just passing through, he asks. Yeah, I'm driving north with my van from LA to Bend tomorrow, then maybe further from there. Excitement buzzed in my chest at the idea of making it all the way up to Washington. I want to see the moss-dripping rainforest and the ferns, the inlets rumored to teem with salmon that orcas and grizzlies hunt in the fog. The quality of the world shifts when I'm on the road, like the colors of a painting coming to life under a glossed varnish. You, I ask in return. I'm on my way down from Washington to see a friend in LA, actually. I want to be there in case she needs help leaving the abusive asshole she's with again, he chuckles. And I'm struck by how refreshing it feels for someone to talk about helping a friend stuck in an abusive relationship with such levity. I've come to expect to hear judgment and disappointment from those who have loved ones struggling to leave abusive relationships. I remember viscerally how hard it really is to be able to leave, how many stars need to align. Finances, a reliable place to go, the motivation, feeling safe. It took us years to leave my dad. I don't say any of this to him, just, I'm glad she has a friend like you.
I love you, Karina. Thank you for sharing this beautiful piece. Okay, I'm going to bring in our celebrity panelists. Okay, so I'm going to just bring it to you guys. What order do you want to go in? Who feels moved? Anybody, or should I just? Okay, Deborah. No, Thea.
She's
Okay,
pointing away.
she's pointing at you.
I'll start. Actually, I just would
Joel.
start with a question. Karina, I thought that was really beautifully done. You gave such a beautiful sense of place. I felt like I could picture myself where you were. It was really just very descriptive and good. And I thought your dialogue also was terrific. This is, you said this is just the beginning pages of a chapter. Could you just, in just a very couple sentences, sum up what the book is about and what the
Yeah.
title and or subtitle is?
Yes, thank you. So I realized I didn't put that in my bio. For context, I've been working on a memoir for over 10 years, just in the background, like as something that I love, about my family's journey as refugees and my travels. It was originally framed around my travels. This is newer pages, obviously, since the fire. And so I'm on the beginning of a journey. This was a 3-month road trip in total. So I'm writing about that and it's fleshing out. But basically, it's about me grappling with a terrifying night that happened with my brother 3 years ago. That was alluded to with the blocking and the impact of that on my life, and kind of healing that PTSD through the journey of also building a life of beauty with myself, my friends, and really on the road, because there's, as a refugee, being on the road still means a lot to me. And so I'm grappling with kind of the relationship between home and freedom and family and safety on this journey.
That seems, I think my feedback is that seems like a lot of topics in one book.
Yeah.
If you look at the most successful memoirs that are out there, you can sum them up in a sentence, you know. So if I were you, I would try to get to the one main point that you want to say in this memoir, because it not only will help you write the most focused book you can write, but it'll also help the reader decide why they want to read it. And you clearly have the goods. Now it's just a matter of focusing so that it's really the best book that it can be. And remember, you don't have to throw in everything in one book. It sounds like you have several books here. So which is this book? And then save the rest for the others.
Ooh, I think that's great. What keeps popping into my head, this is the peanut gallery over here, but I just like hashtag van life. It's such a thing these days. So many people are talking about van life, and you really rock it like nobody's business. So this on the road thing seems like a really good theme. Okay, Devra or Thea, I'm gonna let you two. Devra, I saw your mouth
I'll
move.
go next. It does happen. First off, Karina, I want you to breathe. You're so nervous. Don't be nervous. When you write, you have to remember, especially if you're writing memoir, you have to own your work. Sound familiar, Kelly?
No, not at all.
You step into your power and just know that, this isn't some made up story. This is your story. And I totally agree with Joel. Uh, your writing is so well done that I was right there. And I grew up in Northern California, so it's like I knew exactly where you were, and I could feel the water. And so many, probably my number one complaint that I go through with new authors I represent is I'm making them constantly rewrite to get the details in. You already got that. Great job.
Thank you.
Boy, I agree with everything that's been said. One of my favorite phrases is still waters run deep. That's what I feel with you. You have a calm about you that I agree with Deborah, own it more. But I sense that there is so much there, and it makes me so intrigued. So I want more. So that's, check that off. That's wonderful. It's full of raw emotion. Your writing is terrific. I think that you would really enjoy and benefit from a collaborative process, working with a great developmental editor. I happen to know a couple, but I think that it's going to be easy for you to do the things that Joel wisely suggested you do. So wonderful.
When you know, and I don't, Joel, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but what I've started doing lately, because didn't represent a lot of memoirs before, but I've started getting into them, is I've started having authors write out storyboards. So they know where they're tracking with the story. And if there's something that because it's really easy when you're writing your own story to go off in this direction, then this direction. Then you can kind of look at it afterwards and go, you know what, that doesn't really need to be in there, or this does need to be in there, or it needs to be in a different organization. It might help.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I agree
I
with
appreciate
that. Also, I would say, again, when you think about it, editorial meetings happen where editors come together and they all have projects they want to discuss. And so they get 30 seconds in which to describe the book that they want to acquire to the whole team. And then the books that you buy, the salespeople have less than 30 seconds in which to sell that book to a retailer. So focusing it so that it can be described so succinctly would be great. I also just, you guys, as we're doing this, I'm going through your websites and social medias and stuff because that's so important. And I'm just wanting to encourage all of you to focus your social media so that it matches your book, so that it makes sense, and that your social media, which is probably the single most important thing an author can do, really becomes a springboard for the project that you're doing.
Oh, great.
Because I
Deborah.
professionally do social media marketing, do not use your personal Facebook pages. You lock those down so nobody can see anything on them. And you do an author professional public page. And then, yes, stay in your brand. Come up with your brand and stay on your brand. Even I have other authors like Kelly that have lots and lots of books. I have one hypnosis author who actually also writes pseudonym romance novels under a pseudonym. So she has completely two different things. So things stay within brand. And that's hugely important. Good catch, Joel.
And
So
oh,
go ahead, Joel. Go.
And Facebook is fine, but Substack, TikTok, and Instagram are the three that actually sells the most books from our experience. So make sure you have those and really nurture those. And for those of you coming up, I'm reading some of the bios ahead of time. Some of these don't have titles or subtitles. So before you read, maybe if you read your title and subtitle so that we know that as we hear it. Sorry.
That's great. That's fantastic. Okay. And by the way, as I'm removing these spotlights, reluctantly so, I want to tell everybody who's watching, who's in our audience, and any of the authors as well, if anybody has a question for any of the panelists, for Joel, Thea, or for Deborah, put it in the chat, and maybe Nancy T can help me curate any of those questions and kind of pop in between, so this can be something that's lively for everybody. I know there's a lot of questions people have these days, for example, about AI, about social media, about the editing process. So if there's, I love what you all just shared, because I feel like you're not just giving insight to Karina specifically, but also this is something that everybody can chew on. So thank you so much. And Joey
No,
just
it
asked
was
in the chat.
Substack. Substack, we're seeing the best results for now. TikTok and Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And basically, if you pick one and just really put all your energy into it, that'll really pay off.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up is Timothy. Timothy Courtney. I'm going to put you on the spotlight and I'll read your bio here. And Okay, Timothy Courtney has brought a clear, authentic, and inspiring attitude to the world of psychic and mediumship. For over 3 decades, he's helped hundreds with his ability to communicate with those who have passed and confirm past, present, and foresee the future events for others. His assuring message of hope, comfort, and healing have touched the lives of all who meet him, myself included, and our whole group included, making Timothy widely known as the Palm Springs psychic medium. As a photographer, Timothy Courtney has shot over 40 major magazine covers featuring timeless portraits of Hollywood celebrities, published in books, interviewed, and appeared in many national and international publications, as well as on radio and television. A few of his celebrity list includes Maya Angelou, Sir Ian McKellen, Janet Jackson, Anthony Hopkins, Tom Ford, Queen Latifah, Valerie Harper, Shirley MacLaine, Fran Drescher, B. Arthur, and many more. Tim's first professional career started as a singer performing live and in LA recording studios. He's been a voting member of the National Academy for Arts and Sciences, and his piece is called My Morning with Maya. So, Timothy, take it away.
Hey, thank you. Yes, this is my chapter 1. So it's of the book. I do not have a name for the book yet. I am still uncertain of that, but this is chapter 1.
And it's a memoir.
Yes, it is. You never know who is around the next corner. There are people we meet in our lives that raise us, make us feel good about ourselves, respect us, and love us. Maya Angelou is one of those people for me. I first met her at her 2-story colonial home in North Carolina, nestled amongst a forest of tall pine trees, to photograph her for a magazine cover, a New York publishing company called Art and Understanding. As I waited her arrival, I placed my medium format camera on a sturdy Bogan tripod and loaded the camera with my favorite black and white Ilford film. While enjoying one of the danishes from the buffet-style table, I noticed an antique wooden radio standing 4 feet tall, constructed with gorgeous shades of brown, tan, and red wood grains streaming through it, standing against the far wall. It was a perfect prop to reflect classic style, sophistication, and quality from Maya's portrait. I was busy positioning it in the foreground when she walked in the room. I was a tad nervous about doing the photo session with Maya Angelou, but mostly I was enthusiastic, committed, and devoted to getting her a great photo of her. Suddenly, a flow of powerful yet peaceful energy rushed across my back, over my shoulders, and into my soul. Maya had entered the room. With great anticipation, I turned to see her face. "Come give me a hug and a kiss," Miss Angela said to me in a voice like fine chocolate. I felt the way I did when I was a little boy in Kentucky, my first time catching eyes with Santa Claus. She, like Saint Nick, had a twinkle in her eye, a jovial, inviting smile, and a voice that captivated every living cell in my body. We immediately bonded with a hug and kiss on the cheek. I love how throughout our day together, she referred to me as young Mr. Courtney. If you know of Maya Angelou, you'd probably assume our photo session together was amazing. You would be right. After all, she is well known for her poem, On the Pulse of the Morning, recited at President Bill Clinton's presidential inauguration ceremony. She had published autobiographies and several books of poetry. Her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, is a true treasure in literature. She was also a civil rights activist and a guru to Oprah Winfrey. Feeling so in sync with her, I was grateful she responded to my direction with the relaxed, comfortable demeanor of someone who thoroughly knew herself. She seemed especially pleased when I invited her to lean onto the radio. She confessed to me that it gave her troublesome right hip some relief. Our photo session was filled with effervescent conversation, laughter, and emotions of her endearing memories. At one point, she told a story about an experience she had speaking to a troop of Girl Scouts. At the peak of the tale, Maya began singing. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. The song clearly kindled such cherished feelings, she had to excuse herself from the view of the camera to allow the emotion to wash through her. Hearing Maya sing was even more powerful as it was to hear her speak. Soon as we resumed shooting, until I was confident we had gotten what we needed, I announced, "That's a wrap. We got it. You were great." Commanding everyone's attention, Maya took a step toward me, looked directly into my eyes, pointed her finger at me and said, "He's good. He's professional." I took her words in and replied with a heartfelt thank you. Her reverent compliment was overwhelming. It challenged my childhood feelings of not being good enough. I had turned my head away and busied myself with dismantling the camera from the tripod. Despite my negative inner dialogue, her words made me feel like a superhero. After the session, we sat, drank, nibbled on food, chatted, sang, and she shared more stories. Some of my favorite moments that day were when I sat on the edges of my chair, mouth ajar, and only in tune with the powerful, passionate, full voice of Maya telling an adventure, singing a song, or sharing her wisdom. When telling the story about her son, who was once hospitalized, her voice climaxed like thunder from the heavens. I was in awe. In such a short amount of time, just a few hours, Maya Angelou made me feel special, loved, and respected. This bright moment was highly welcomed and appreciated, especially given the dark space my head was in as I struggled with drug addiction behind the scenes. I like to think maybe on a spiritual, intuitive level, she saw a bit of her younger self in me. Or maybe she could sense that I really needed an angel, and she decided to be that for me. Either way, we undeniably made a beautiful spiritual connection, and I felt as though she knew me, the real me. Please know, though I was in the midst of my addiction, I was not high at the photo session with Maya. I was never high when photographing somebody. As I packed up the last bits of equipment, Maya surprised me by saying, "I want you to come with me to my office. I have a book that I want you to have." I followed her to the cozy office space with no windows, located in the center of the house. She stepped behind her desk and pulled a book from the shelf called "Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now." She opened the book to the title page and wrote, "Tim Courtney, Joy, Maya Angelou, 8/2000. She got a little upset with herself as the black magic marker in her hand jumbled the last couple of letters at the end of her name. I believe she wanted it to look neat, and this was not to her liking. In spite of that, she seemed so happy to give me the book, along with another hug and kiss. I was honored and even more elated than I was before. I've never been an avid reader, but since this book came from Maya Angelou herself, I knew there was a good reason for me to read it, and there was. All these years later, I flip open the pages and find myself immersed in its joy and inspiration. My life has changed dramatically since the photo shoot. I got sober a few years later and have stayed that way ever since. I'd like to think Maya knows and is still beaming supportive energy to me from her heavenly home.
Yay, Timothy. Jazz hands for Timothy. Okay, let's bring on our celebrities, superstars. Okay, let's see. Let's start with Thea since you've not gone first yet.
Well, Timothy, I've actually missed Maya Angelou since her death. And to hear you read this, I felt like it was a treat. It was like, an uncovered letter that we didn't know about. I got to be a fly on the wall and such a connection with such an amazing woman. And you do a really great job of reminding of us how powerful she is. I would take a look at the opening paragraph because I don't think that it's as strong as the theme of this of your work and of your other writing. So that opening paragraph you told us the first chapter, that can be hard. I think it would be worth for you to spend a little more time polishing that up. But I'm excited to see where it's going. I have no idea from this chapter, but I'm definitely intrigued and I want to hear more.
Thank you, Thea. Okay, let's go to Deborah.
Because I had to bounce out for a minute, I didn't hear right about the description of the book.
Memoir.
Memoir, is each chapter about your experience with somebody that you photographed, or just her?
She's the main chapter. I do talk about B. Arthur and Shirley MacLaine, but I just wanted to touch celebrities because the book's really not about that. It's about adventures going from anywhere from being a music director in a church to a prostitute to being with not working, but dating the mafia to having a nonprofit with children in Southern California to, I mean, just one thing to the other, and about coming through things, to be able to come through the other side of things.
So are you thinking this is chapter 1?
This is chapter 1. I wanted to start out with something bright. That's what, so.
I think to me, this is always only my opinion, to me, if people go in or they look at books and they start reading the first few pages, I think it's going to be very confusing to them what the book is actually going to be about, or what their takeaway is going to be. I would almost recommend you start with an introduction chapter of, what you're kind of describing your path and taking people into something stronger. Something doesn't always have to be light, fluffy. Okay. But something to grab them and go, oh, I want to hear what he has to say. I want to learn about his life. So it draws them in. The other thing is, and I don't know if Joel will agree with me or not, but this was something I have run into with other books in the last 15 years and 73 books I've represented. Be careful using words from songs. Unless you have permission, one of my authors used literally 2 words and got fined $20,000.
Yeah.
So you have to have permission. And that's all I have to say.
I think that's an excellent point, Deborah. And it can be difficult to figure out where the copyright lies, but I agree that is something you've got to research to see if you can use it.
And by the way, Thea, you have a background as a lawyer. So this is a good time to tell people when you speak of legal and literary things, you kind of know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And for everybody watching and listening to this, Thea has a great little book on the legal ins and outs of writing.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I'm posting a free PDF in the chat. So please feel free to download that.
We need that. We all need to read it tonight.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
Very good. Joel.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And the lyrics, by the way, just a takeaway. I had an author who early in my career used just the line, "I can't get no satisfaction." And the legal team made him request permission from the songwriting company that owns the rights to that. And they asked for $75,000 for just that line. So it is a little difficult. So Timothy, let me just say, first of all, I really, let me start with your bio for a second. I really like so much that you have this great handle, the Palm Springs Psychic Medium. That's fantastic. I mean, that's so clear. Instantly, it tells us who you are. You actually look like your picture, which is amazing. So, everything is really great. And when I went to your website, it's a really very good website. The only feedback I'd give you is that the links to the social media don't actually go to your social media, so make sure everything links correctly. But it's really great. I got confused because you have all of this, and then I think that when you started reading, I thought you were going to talk about a reading with Maya that you did for her. And when you work with celebrities, by the way, or famous people, you have to be really careful. And Thea might be able to share more about that, because our legal team would have a lot of issues with this, because it's you need to get permissions, or there are just lots of legal issues with that. But that aside, so I thought you were going to talk about reading, because your whole website and everything is kind of geared towards that. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a book about readings that he's done and maybe lessons that we learned. But I understand that what you're saying is that this is really a book about how you made it through some very challenging times and came out the other side. I agree with Deborah 100%, which is, I think you should start with something very dramatic, like an introduction chapter that usually, or often with these kinds of memoirs, people will start at the worst moment, and then the introduction ends at that pivotal moment where they're about to die, or the guy who landed the plane, in the river by New York City, just like, are we going to die, or something like that, so that people are like, oh, what happened? I want to see what happens next. And then maybe go into your childhood and bring people along with your story. I understand why you would want to put Maya up front, because she's famous, but I think, if this is the book you want to write, a more memoir, make it about you, not about her. And finally, I would also say maybe that's, you sound like you have a colorful life, but your brand is about psychics and psychic information, and you have a whole part on your website, Your Psychic Self. Maybe that's a book, is taking these lectures and these YouTube videos that you talk, helping people learn about their psychic self, and turn that into a book. And you could then intersperse maybe some of your stories into that. And to me, that is more congruent with your brand than a book about you dating the mafia and this and that. But maybe there's a way to weave those two things together so that it makes sense of the Palm Springs psychic medium, which is so great.
Great.
I
Thank you.
I want to
Deborah.
throw 2 cents in there for those. Yes, I am an agent primarily, but I've also been an intuitive for 48 years and used to be the psychic on Shirley MacLaine's website for many, many years. This is something, now I'm not a writer, even though I have a book, I'm not a writer, so I'm not going to write it. But I would like to see more books coming up, because people are awakened to UFOs and psychics and all of this being real. And I think you could have a very commercially viable book if you talk about readings. Again, you're going to have to legally watch who you say and when and what they say. But I've always thought of a book written by a psychic from the psychic's perspective. I mean, I could write a humorous ones based on, no, you're not going to find your love of your life. Go away, but coming from that, I think the book you're writing that you read from is for your own therapy. I would write a commercial book based on your experiences as a psychic and stay in your brand. Make a lot of money, then you can publish whatever you want to.
I love that idea. I'm personally, that's the kind of book I would love to publish. I would just be very careful about privacy concerns. It maybe some of your clients are deceased, like Maya. Obviously, so defamation doesn't last anymore, but invasion of privacy is a tort that still, extends beyond death. So you would have to either get releases or write it in such a way that you're not invading or sharing things that both legally and I think professionally as a psychic, you should not be sharing.
You
Well,
change.
that's why I was saying,
Identifying features like
yeah,
names, genders, hair colors, geography. Also, you can change a lot of things so that you still are telling the story, but you're not revealing anything personal.
and
And that happens all the time.
yeah, writing it from the psychic's viewpoint of brief example, because I know we're on a time thing. I was at a party where I told a woman she was pregnant and her husband had been fixed and he was sitting with her, and to tell a story about that, I mean, I think you could find a lot of humor approaching and, the hardships, when you're doing readings with people and you know that they lost a child or whatever without mentioning names or going through the whole reading, but from your perspective.
Timothy, have you thought about writing about teaching people how to be more psychic?
I do teach it. I
Right.
haven't thought about writing the book about it actually, but yeah, it's like I'm definitely open to it for sure.
A
Yeah.
how-to with stories to support it.
I mean,
Wow.
Deborah's got a good sense about it, and Thea said that's the kind of thing that I can't remember exactly how you said it, but
Well, I love all things metaphysical. And I actually did publish a work by my personal psychic, Joan Sabinski, who passed about a half a year ago on You Were Born Psychic. And that's been one of my better received books. So I definitely agree. We need those kinds of books right now, don't you think?
yeah. I publish a lot of psychics. The key for us is platform. So like I published Tyler Henry. He's got a big platform. I published John Edward, Shermargolis.
Oh, man.
So it's always about platform.
Yeah.
So really focus on your platform, build, build, build. And you have a great YouTube. I like your YouTube just from what I see of it. So just, I hope you take this as real encouragement that people see your brand and want something that is in line with that.
Yeah. I have a quick
Timothy, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say as a mom, I'm going to say to you, you've got some connections tonight with Joel and Deborah. I want you to massage those. Okay.
And Thea.
And Thea too.
Well, I mean,
All of
no.
the above. I'll step in as another mother from another mother. What were you going to say, Timothy?
quick
Question?
question I wanted to ask to say, Joel, when you say my platform, I just want to be, could you clarify that for me?
Oh, great question. Everybody wants to know what that is all about. So
Yeah,
Joel.
well, that's in my kind of publishing, that's the number one thing. The very first question we ask that is asked when people bring up a project is, how big is their platform? And what that means is how many Substack subscribers do they have? How many TikTok followers do they have? And have they had any TikTok videos that have gone viral? And same with Instagram. And at our kind of publishing, it's like we have a project that we're bringing up to editorial meeting tomorrow. And the first question we asked was, how big is this TikTok? And it was only 115,000 people. So, but TikTok you can scale quickly. So that actually isn't a lot of a big number for TikTok. But that's the first question. So that really, and that's for every kind of book, fiction, nonfiction, memoir, self-help cookbooks, every kind of book is platform-based now for us. And so I really want to encourage you to just continue to do that. That's why I clicked on your links. And when none of your links actually went to your Instagram, your YouTube, and your Facebook,
Yes.
that's an easy fix because a lot of people will click on it. And if it doesn't go to you, then they just keep moving forward. You want to
Makes
capture
sense.
them.
Thanks. I thought that's what you meant. But I wanted to be certain. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Okay.
try to hit goals with numbers.
Okay.
And your platform is the Palm Springs Psychic
Yes.
Medium.
Medium.
That's such a great
That
tagline.
is
Thank you.
your,
It's so
your-
clear.
Yeah.
that's your brand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Brand
Thank you.
/ platform. Okay. This is great. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Oh, Timothy, I hope you're feeling like $1,000,000. This is so helpful. And I can relate so much to having, starting to go from self-help and writing my own story for my own therapy and feeling like, wow, nobody really wanted it. Like people just wanted my stuff on dreams. And I'm like, finally, I'm being honest. I'm cutting myself open and I'm bleeding on the pages here. And people are like, we just really want dream stuff. But the exercise of me writing everything and telling my story does make my writing better, and it does thicken up and fatten up everything I write, even in the self-help world. So in Dreamifesting, it's layered with personal stories that I didn't used to write before. So I think keep writing your story, because there will be a place for it one day. None of it is wasted at all. But people clearly, I mean, it's not easy to develop a platform. You don't just roll out of bed and become the Palm Springs psychic medium. This has taken years of feathering this nest. So this is gold. This is publishing gold. One thing I love about hearing from Joel, in particular, even though this relates to Deborah and Athea, is I think we can picture being in an editorial meeting. These are the things that we want to picture ourselves as flies on the wall in these meetings that the publishers have about us and about our books, and being able to make it easy for them to transmit what we're doing as quickly and as bite-sized as possible, so that people go, oh, I get it, and they can run with it. It's like Paul Revere, go run. The British are coming. It has to be like that. All right, moving on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is so great. Okay, we're going to move on to a woman that is near and dear to my heart. It's my mother, Julie Sullivan. She's a former middle school teacher for 30 years, a wife of 56 years, a mother of 5 daughters, and a grandmother to a grandson. She's currently writing a memoir in rhyme about growing up in the aftermath of World War II. But the book that she's writing right now is called, so that's a different book. The one that she's working on now is called Daily Stew. Did I get it right? Okay, so take it away, Julie, aka Mama Jules.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Nice to see all of you. Okay. I'm not sure of the title of the book, but Daily Stew, Ingredients of a Life Well Lived. The ingredients of a happy life are what we all pursue. But what are these specifically? I'll tell you what I do. I've bottled uplifting attributes, put each one in a tiny jar, then put them in a spice rack. There's 60 kinds so far. These help us with our daily tasks by balancing out our mood. And then my favorite thing to do is relate it all to food. Life and cooking often seem to have a lot in common. Let me illustrate this with a panful of top ramen. You can see and hear these noodles simmer slowly on the heat. People also simmer when they're mad, upset, or face defeat. Another example might be a dash of salt in a bowl of stew, or a sprinkle of humor when a conversation's gone askew. I find this way of thinking helpful and new, especially when faced with a challenge or a job to do. Like when I put a pesky task aside, but now the time has finally come, for example, to pay some bills. Now, where did they come from? These notices for my utilities, if not paid, could be shut down, and this could lead to bigger problems like being kicked out of town. So I collect the bills from their box and put them in a metaphorical pot and shake in a spice called focus while the pot is getting hot. I'll also need confidence to be able to get this done. 3 shakes of perseverance, and the war is nearly won. A little inspiration, and my mood begins to soar. Then I'll whisk them into another task like washing the kitchen floor. This requires a bit of effort, so I shake in my ambition. You might ask, why do that? it's a rather lowly mission. I reply, keeping our house clean is as worthy as more lofty goals, so I'll add a daily squeeze of order for my tidy loving soul. This balancing act of motivation you can shake into every day. It will take away the struggle for each task or situation that comes your way.
Yay! Jazz hands for Mama Jules. Okay, let's add a few spotlights. And where did Thea go? There she is. Okay. Let's see. Who would like to comment first? Deborah, take it away.
You know, I ever since I was a little kid, I love books that rhyme. I don't care. I mean, I even, every poetry class I ever took, they were trying to teach me real poetry. I still wrote rhymes. I love rhymes. The only criticism I will give you is when you're writing rhymes, they have to be consistent. Every single line has to be consistent, and yours kind of does this. So I would say,
The cadence, the
yeah,
cadence.
the cadence has to be da-dun, 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 da-dun. And that's the only thing. But what I heard in my psychic mind was it lyrics for a song.
Oh, okay. Weird.
And it just
Yeah.
needed a harmony, the
Uh-huh.
thing they stick in between everything. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, I totally, I love Deborah's psychic mind, but the flash that I got was a video with a movie behind it, and I'm thinking, gosh, could she make that on AI? And you put it on YouTube or TikTok, and I also wondered, I thought, well, what is the genre for this? And I recently received a submission for a very avant-garde flash fiction, and I thought, maybe you're making a new genre. Maybe you're coming up with flash memoir. And a lot of people want short and sweet. So I think the marketability is great. And I think also too, illustrations, whimsical things
Yeah.
to tie it in. But I think it'd be cool if you had a video, a cartoon or something that went with it.
Cartoon. Yeah. That's what I'm
Great
thinking.
idea. That's
Mhm.
great. Joel.
Julie, that was charming, and it was descriptive and fun and interesting. And I like reading your bio where it says that you have the salt in my coffee about being about life in the 50s, currently writing a memoir in rhyme about growing up in the aftermath of World War II. So I like that you have a thing, and it is writing your books in rhyme. I mean, that automatically sets you apart and makes you interesting in my book, because you are carrying it through in all of these different projects. I think what Thea said makes total sense, which is, what if you were to read these on TikTok and develop a following? That's happens right now. That happens a lot where people take their art, share it on TikTok, and then it becomes so popular that publishers reach out and say, I never would have thought that would have worked, but it really connects with people. Let us help you. So I think that's a great idea. And illustrations are great and all of that, but I would just kind of start where you are and start reading it and reading these and sharing them with the world and see what happens with them.
You could
Okay,
call
well,
it
thank you very
Grandma
much.
Julie's Rhymes.
That's great.
Yeah.
The
Awesome.
rhyming grandma.
Or rapping grandma. We'll see. But I can help you with that. We'll play.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
everybody. All right. Removing spotlights. We've got such an eclectic group tonight. Okay. Next is Miss Hannah. Hannah, just like Madonna and Cher, she doesn't even need a last name, even though she has one, but we won't tell you what it is. She, poetry, prose, and melodies. Hannah writes to process, writes to invest, evanescent memories, writes to fictionalize her and others' lives. So, Miss Hannah, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I just realized that I don't know how to write a bio, so it's a bit out of context, but I'm currently based between Big Sur and Paris, and this portion of the story is set in France. Um,
And
and I
Hannah, can you
also,
tell everybody how
yep,
old you are too? You're the baby of the bunch.
I'm 23.
23 years
Yes.
old. Yeah,
And
so listen to this wisdom of this 23-year-old. Take it away, Hannah.
so this part is called The Horses, Their Horses, My Horses. The stone-cold chimney of my grandma's house birthed gray, dusty ashes. The former burning embers, warming me up after a day spent out in the cold fields, turned into deep black charcoals, coloring the walls with soot. It had been 3 years since I had last visited her home, the farm, this countryside. I had taken the train from Paris to the frozen land of my past after receiving a cryptic message from my mother. Your uncle will be relocating. The horses will soon be leaving, I had figured, and a week later decided it would be best to visit before it was too late. I ran my fingers along the wooden mantle above the chimney, forming little balls of dust in my hand. Grandma didn't place family pictures above the fireplace, maybe out of fear of putting the bloodline on the doorstep of hell, or maybe out of fear of seeing our faces singe over time. The pictures instead hung next to the garage door, one third for her son's kids, one-third for her second son's kids, and the last third for her daughter's kids. I'm her daughter's kid, the last daughter's last daughter. The ambient silence that hung between us over the kitchen table had grown to feel natural over the years, an indisputable mutual agreement. As a child and in the last of my teenage years, once everyone had left, I would spend time at her house alone with her. We would eventually fall into our own worlds. We stared at the ghost around the house, quietly whispering words in our own heads. We both understood that we were close to the same realm, the other side I had just come from, and to which she was returning. I stood as the last pawn on the dusty board game, all players leaving the table one by one to go to another room, another game. Still too young to leave, I held my position in front of the last remaining character. At lunch and dinner with Grandma. My thoughts came and went with a stinging shame, silent, resentful kid type of shame, not being able to entertain my own grandmother. I lacked memory and I lacked the resources, the souvenirs for Grandma and I to visit together. 3 years had passed since I left, and the silence remained as I joined her at the dinner table. Grandma face slowly sipped on soup, tongue burning potato leek soup. I stared across the kitchen table into the open study door at the empty coal chimney on the right, wondering if the soup had burned both our tongues for good. Grandma, I went to see the horses this afternoon. You always liked your horses. They're not mine. Did you talk to them again? Yes. What did you tell them? Earlier, the sun had met the horizon when I reached the north field. The light was dropping fast and early, so I drove at high speed on the swirling, familiar roads, anticipating the curves and turn, testing the limits of my abilities and the natural consequences of winter on the frozen roads. I parked my car down under the hangar and emerged with an ugly gray beanie bolted on my greasy hair. My grandma kept it in the garage from her old gardening days. I wore a thick wool sweater with a hole in the middle, a pair of dirty jeans soiled with paint, tucked into warm, smelly socks inside tall green rubber boots. My defunct grandpa's hunting coat, dark green, small holes under both armpits, with synthetic fibers coming out, fell heavily on my arms and offered the coziest, warmest cocoon. It smelled like dust and cold. My hands grabbed the metal gate and I swung under it, my whole body folded in two, pricking in a swift motion. The hangar sat under vibrant silence, desolate and abandoned, filled with lasting, decrepit memories of years spent as flea kids running around in the hay. The same hay they fed the horses with, now 10 years later. The mud and straw on the floor of the hangar sat frozen, cracking under my squeaky boots. I stumbled with heavy steps into the lower field where mud and grass fought for a breath under the stampede of a herd walking back and forth to shelter each night under the metal roof. I crossed to climb a soft hill, following the path the herd had carved with time. At the top, you would hurtle in and out of an open trench, out into the north field. 5 leaning figures spread across the pasture, their silhouette drawn with a charcoal pen, leaving a blurry streak in the coming night. Sometimes the horses rested farther down and I would have to walk longer to find them, eating at the bottom of the field closer to the road. They were perfectly aligned in front of the single standing apple tree far to the left. The horse's head rose one by one, each ear pointing in my direction, listening to the sound of my teeth and tongue rubbing, clicking, chick, chick, chicking. Their shadows moved languidly towards my dissipating figure. Walking up to them, I dipped into my scarf. I heard the crunching of the cold grass beneath my step. His short orange hair was as soft as the coat of a newborn foal. The cold winter forced the horses to grow thick, fuzzy hair like teddy bears. He stared me down when I arrived. He stood static, a couple of meters away from me. His breath floated in the cold, drawing a white mist between the two of us. I moved my hand closer to touch his nose. He leaned into my arms. I ran my hand along his crest and rested my head against his neck. Idaho, my sweet warm blood Idaho, the leader of the herd. Idaho always approached me first in the field, dragging his hooves slowly far from the far end of the paddocks. He offered a welcoming presence, a checkpoint, granting me access to the mares and the rest of the group. He carried his body like the guardian of the field. I welcomed him with a big hug and a handful of carrots, orange like him. His red mane grew thick and long over his neck, his forelock covering both of his eyes. I opened the curtains to see his dark eyes looking at me calmly. His white blazed open his forehead gently, a paint stroke, blessing his face with perfect beauty. Sometime I would twist his hair into small braids, but they wouldn't hold, slowly unlocking one by one. I tried to detangle a cluster of knots with my freezing fingers to scratch underneath his sweaty fur. My nails dug into the soft skin. Idaho stood and rested on 3 feet, folding the fourth, swaying from side to side. A freezing gush of air hit my face as Idaho wet's nose scurried over my gloves for more treats. I rubbed his nose gently and pushed his head away. I walked to his side, scratching his shoulder. Idaho snorted loudly, his nostrils rumbling through the sharp wind.
Yay! Oh my goodness, Hannah. Wanted it to keep going. Is that the end? Okay.
Oh, that's the end. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's bring on the celebrities. All right. Great job. All right. Who would like to go first? Joel, I see you
Anna,
now.
can you tell us what is this book, the whole book,
Oh, that's
technically
a
about?
yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't have a set structure. I've been playing with different ideas. Might be a short stories about horses. I really don't know yet. I just write things out, and I have yet to fully understand the form or the structure of a whole piece or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And the theme is horses, you said?
yeah. We were talking about with Kelly, and I do like to write about horses. So this might be a short story about my grandma and horses, or yeah.
Yeah. I thought, were you going to say something, Kelly?
I was going to say that with your encouragement, Joel, for me to start a Substack, I've been nudging everybody in the group to start a Substack, and Hannah has done it. So she's got a few pieces up on Substack, and I was just noticing that they're all very different stories about different times in her youth, and they all seem to have a horse that shows up, or even the thought of a horse. It's like this kind of, there's some darkness, there's a lot of pain, but there's this, the bright spot is always kind of the horse medicine, and nature. And I just noticed that. So I don't know if if the whole book will be that way, but so far all the stories are incredible and they all seem to feature a horse.
Yeah. I would say just from listening to this and reading along with you and not knowing much about this project, I felt like so far this is a very literary type story. I really liked it a lot. I really think that you can write. That's and at your age, I think that's really fantastic. You really have a sense of kind of unfolding the story as you went along in just this beautiful way. So I think it's fantastic. I think Substack is the perfect place for you to really explore. I could see if horses are a theme, you could almost do something like, horses, the horse stories or something like that. And they're just kind of loosely held together. It can be about lots of different things, and they're just loosely held together by maybe having a horse in it, or that kind of thing. But I think it's great. Do you have an Instagram?
I do have an Instagram, but it's
Want to
like a
put it?
personal one.
Want
I
to put
can
it
I
in
can
the
share
chat?
it.
Put it in the
Yes,
chat,
for
Hannah,
sure.
if you would.
Because I
I'm
saw somebody with Instagram with the spelling of your name. I just don't know if it's
Yeah, it's a
you.
unique
find it.
spelling of Hannah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it doesn't sound like you have a cohesive book yet, but you have the goods, and I think you are in the right place. I think you're exploring things really well, and I just think it's fantastic. I'm excited to see what happens from here on out for you.
Thank you.
And you should hear her sing. Her
Mm.
and Karina sing together, and oh, magic. So magical.
Well,
Thea.
I sense that. I feel that you have the soul of a writer, soul of an artist. And so the lawyer part of my brain really wants you to educate yourself about the different paths to publishing. I want you to really educate yourself about finding the right agent, because you are so young, but yet so wise. You have a long career ahead of you. So really try to learn a lot now, so you will have the career that you deserve. Secondly, I thought, wow, you're going to be great for international distribution, because I bet you could translate your own book into at least French. Um, and finally, I was like Joel, I was thinking, what is the theme? But the sentence that just really stuck out to me was when you said we both understood that we were close to the same realm, the other side I had just come from, and to which she was returning. I was like, whoa. That was awesome. I get goosebumps with that. So that might be, I didn't know if you and your grandma had a psychic connection or there was some kind of mystery there. So that to me, I thought, ooh, that's maybe where she's going to go with it.
Mm.
Deborah.
Well
Okay,
done.
so I
Thank you,
went
Thea.
in like some other world here. I was like visiting you in a past life. Are you Native American descent?
French.
Not
Oh,
no, I am
Moroccan.
not.
Okay,
Moroccan.
so that was a past life. I was pulling up and you were out in the prairies with horses and running. And then I saw this flash of the title God's Horses, which with like a series of books with these gorgeous illustrations and these short stories of your horses. I didn't connect the grandma part with the horse part in this story. To be honest, I felt like I was hearing two different stories, but I loved the horse part. So I don't know. I just saw these beautifully illustrated, like a 10 by 10 size, almost like a kid size book, but for adults.
Mm,
Hmm.
beautiful.
Lovely.
This is so
Thank
great.
you. This is
Thank
very
you.
helpful and insightful.
Thank you, everyone. Oh, I'm so happy, Hannah. I mean, I sort of feel like the way I felt when I see a Van Gogh painting, like I go into another world, and the potato eaters, like just the simple sharing of soup and the kind of this melancholic feeling. It's incredible that what you evoke in just such a short space. So thank you. Okay. Next up is, I think we've got Linnea. Is that true? Let me see. Oh, Yvonne McGrath. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Yvonne. She's a Seattle-based tech professional returning to her creative roots through screenwriting. She grew up in Seattle, in the Seattle suburbs, initially working in film production in Los Angeles, and earned an Emmy producing children's television. She held senior roles at Microsoft and Cisco while raising her son as a single mom. Now an empty nester with a cat, of course. She's developing I Choose the Bear, a fictionalized screenplay inspired by true events, exploring love, manipulation, and self reclamation. She plays the drums, values authenticity with a side of humor, and misses LA weather, but does not miss LA traffic. So, this piece, she's going to read it like it's an essay, but it's actually coming straight out of her screenplay. So, Yvonne, let me see. Take it away, Yvonne.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Is my mic
Yeah.
working?
Yep.
Okay.
You're great.
Yeah, and this is just excerpts out of the middle of the story and not at the beginning or the end or anywhere in particular. So I'll do my best to read this without being too nervous. Police lights before dawn. As Anne drove away from her house, the flashing lights of 3 police cars were immediately upon her. She froze. Please keep your hands where I can see them. I need you to step out of the car slowly. Then a female officer emerged from the patrol car and approached Anne. Ma'am, what happened here? Anne replied, I just told 911. I'm afraid of him, of my husband. He's lying. He said I was hitting him. I never hit him. He's a 6'3" man who punches holes in walls and picks fights. He can easily take me down. He's attacked me before. If this is true, why did you stay with him? The female officer pressed, her tone condescending. Anne paused, sighed deeply, and processed the question. I don't know why. I think I just didn't want to lose our family. I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want this. The male officer says something into his radio and returns. We are going to have to take you to jail now. The officers cuff her and fold her into the back seat. I don't understand. Why are you arresting me? I didn't do anything. Rob has a gun hidden somewhere in the house. Meet cute on OkCupid 8 years earlier. Anne, 40-something, with long blonde hair, is cozy, curled up on her couch with her laptop open. She opens a message on OkCupid from Rob, 47, musician, single dad. She reads, Are you interested in a middle-aged rocker dude? Anne scrolls through his photos. A guitar player, a proud father. She smiles. She replies, I'm a middle-aged rocker dude magnet. Grinning to herself, she closes her laptop. Their first date a week later. Rob, a bearded hipster wearing a vintage snap-up shirt, strides up to the sidewalk. The neon sign for Nellie's Kitchen flickers above him. His eyes widen when he sees Anne approaching him from the opposite direction. Anne, I'm impressed. You actually look like your pictures. I was bracing for someone 10 years older. What you see is what you get. You clean up okay for a guy whose profile pics including a fishing boat and some questionable 90s facial hair. I like to keep expectations low. That way I can exceed them when I show up. Interesting strategy. Now I'm wondering how I ended up here. Rob opens the door for her as they enter. So glad you did. The dining room glows with golden lamplight, hardwood floors, well-worn tables. It smells like collards and cornbread and everything fried. A waitress moves through the room and signals to the couple to grab a table. As they sit down, a warm Motown track fades as the unmistakable groove of James Brown kicks in. This place has great food, great tunes, and tonight, great company, he says, absently rapping his knuckle on the table to the beat of the music. Anne notices. You like James Brown. I love James Brown. I wasn't like most boys just learning to shred to Van Halen records, but I can do that too. When I was 15, I got a job washing dishes. These guys I work with took me under their wings. Papa Cool cornered me one night and said, You want to be worth a damn on that guitar, Junior? You got to put the funk on the one. I've loved the funk ever since. Rob smiles and checks himself. I'm already telling my stories. Let's talk about you. You clearly know something about music. I bet you were the one organizing gigs in high school while everyone else was just trying to get out of gym class. Close. I used to do some photography, shot a lot of local bands, did a few interviews for a TV station I worked for in college. Emmy winner too. Anne shrugs it off like she doesn't like talking about herself. Rob, genuinely impressed. I see why you are a rocker dude magnet. You must have been the cutest photographer ever to grace the mosh pit. Award winning too. I think I've met my match. Panic before dawn, 8 years later. Anne jolts awake. He can't be here, she mumbles. She enters the room where her husband is asleep in the guest bed and positions herself near the foot of the bed by the door. You need to leave. Why are you back here? Rob opens his eyes, already mocking her. I know how hard it is for you to sleep without me here. Rob swings his legs off the bed and walks past her to the bathroom. Anne follows, pacing the narrow hallway, bracing for an argument. He emerges from the bathroom, holding up his cell phone, obviously recording Anne, glaring at her. Anne realizes she's being recorded. Please stop it, Rob. But before she can get out another word, Rob hits himself in the face hard. He dials 911. He shouts, Stop hitting me! She stumbles back, confused. I did not hit you. Rob, now answering the operator on the other end of the line. Yes, I'm being attacked by my wife. Anne is rattled. Now what? Are you going to tell them I'm shooting at you? Rob's face lights up as he latches onto Anne's words and runs with them. She said she's going to shoot me in the face. Hearing her words twisted against her, Anne dials 911. Rob darts into the bedroom. She hears the lock click. Anne's face contorts as she runs. What she can't see, he has retrieved a bag hidden behind a dresser drawer. Inside it, a gun.
Well done. Well done, Yvonne. Okay, let's bring on our panelists. Ooh.
Hey, Yvonne, take a breath.
No,
You start, Joel.
You
Yeah.
were
so
so
nervous reading.
nervous. I know. It's okay. You were nervous. You did great. That was great. So take a breath and feel really good about what you did. I just have a question to start with before I give you my feedback, and that is, if I were the head of Netflix right now, and you were pitching me, what's it called? I Choose the Bear, and we're in an elevator together, and we're only going up to the 3rd floor. We're not even going to 10 floors, just 3rd floor, and you want to pitch me. How would you pitch me I Choose the Bear?
I would tell him or her, I'm writing a dramedy thriller, a dark dramedy thriller about a woman who faces, some abuse by her husband, and eventually he gets eaten by a bear, sort of as revenge to the whole
All
And
right.
you got to
karma.
say the part, Yvonne, about that saying about women in the woods. So say that thing, because everybody knows that one.
Oh, the I Choose the Bear
Yes.
story? Yeah,
Right.
about
Just
I
in
would choose
case
the
anybody
bear
doesn't
over a
know.
man.
Yeah.
Like if you're alone in the woods, what would be more scary? A man
Yeah,
coming
a
at you
man
or a
or the bear.
bear? I choose the
Yeah.
bear.
I
Yeah.
Choose the Bear. Got it. Uh, I thought that was fun. It is a screenplay more than it felt just like reading a screenplay. I worked with lots of people who were originally screenplays, and so you are definitely doing it in the way that they all do it, which is they kind of take their screenplay and just change it a little bit so that they think it's a book, but it needs a lot more description. We need to know more about where they are, what they feel, what they smell like. Maybe Rob wears a cologne that she hates, and as he walks past her, she smells it. And we need to be more in it. As a screenplay, you don't need that because a lot of that is happening visually, and even the way that you have it here, which is Panic Before Dawn, 8 years later. That's a screenplay phrase, but it's not a novel or fictionalized version yet. But I think the conceit of the story, I Choose the Bear, is fantastic. And I love it. I just think that you really need to work on this. And that's not there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a great thing. You have the germ of a really great story here, and I think you should just really go for it and do it. But choose: do I want to write it as a screenplay, or do I want to write it as a book? And pick one lane and go for it. Don't try to straddle the fence. Pick one and then go for it. And either way you go, I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think it's really commercial. And the title is perfect because I got it instantly, because I've heard that story, but I got it instantly that's kind of what this was about. So good for you.
That's great. And to her credit, she's been writing it as a screenplay, and I kind of at the last second kind of forced her into doing this, like this, which came together beautifully, given the fact that you had like a day to do that. So
well, and if you want to do it if screenplays are your, that's where your passion is, go for it. Really do that. But social media. You still need social media, and I'm not seeing anything here. So that's really important.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, let's see, Deborah.
I'm like flashing back to all kinds of things that happened in my past when you're reading that, and I can really see it as a mini series. And it's something you might even possibly think about, because of the title is so perfect, is having, how you describe in a screenplay the intro and outro, you know having like the bear chasing the silhouette of the man, in the forest. And then people could wonder, is this what's going to happen? The I Even though and I've read a lot of screenplay. I've got several clients that write movies and things. Even though it's a screenplay, when you have the scene descriptions, you still have to have the details. So there wasn't enough of that. The devil is in the details. In this case, he's the devil. But really set it up a little bit stronger than that. So when you do present it, somebody actually can taste and smell and feel the scene they're about to read. That's my 2 cents.
She has a lot of those details that I forced her to cut out just so that she could have an arc. So, but she's got it. She's got the goods.
I'm going to just say one more thing. I'm sorry, Thea. Which is, we've talked about the editorial meeting, and our editorial meeting is like 60, sometimes 70, 80 people. It's a lot of people in a room. I could pitch this tomorrow as a novel. I choose the bear. And as long as there was a clear storyline, people would get it in a heartbeat. And it's one of those concepts that people would say, oh, why didn't somebody do this before? But what you need is, but in fiction, you have to also pick a lane, which is, romantic this or this kind of thing, or literary this or whatever. You have to kind of pick your lane and write into that. But the concept is right there. Sorry, Thea.
Oh, no, I love it. And Yvonne, I'm excited for you for what I've heard the other professionals say. And my personal statement to you, and this topic touches me deeply. I was a legal aid lawyer when I got out of law school, and I worked on the domestic violence project. So I represented women and children who were in this situation. So for me personally, this issue is so important. I have a future daughter-in-law who works in this space, and sadly, over the last 30 years, things have not gotten better for women. They've even actually legally, they're getting worse. So I really encourage you to do this. And I also want you to, like Kelly said, really step into your power. Do you understand how amazing your creative background is? Listening to your biography, I'm like, she's nervous. I'm nervous to think about what to say to her. we're just all nervous. Well, let's not be nervous. We don't have time for that. The world is a little, intense right now. Just and take what you've heard from the people tonight and just be so confident. Of course, I want to see the book, because that's, that's what I want to see. Make the book a smash seller, and then you'll have, more negotiating power at the table when you're working that deal with Netflix. But yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
Well,
Oh
it looks
my
like you
God.
already have people interested, and and it also sounds like you have some humor in this,
Yeah.
as well as a very dark, deep subject. So that's very, very in vogue right now. I mean, in terms of what's popular and what has captured people's attention. So you really have it all in front of you right now, and it's just a matter of going forward. And you have a great coach with Kelly. So
Thank you. I think revenge, or what is that? Success is the best revenge.
Precisely.
Precisely. Oh, wow. This is why I do this. These moments are so exciting to me. This is like I'm kind of having if I died now, I'd be fine. I don't want to die now, but like I'd have such a smile on my face. Great job. Thank you, everybody.
don't
All
you
right.
dare die right now.
I will not
We've
die
got a
right
book
now. I
coming
promise.
out. I don't know.
I will not. I will not die for a long time. Okay, we're moving on to Linnea. Linnea Richard. Her piece is, oh gosh, I'm in her piece. Okay, Linnea lives in Topanga. She happens to be my neighbor. She sings folk songs to trees, not just hugs those trees, but sings to them. She writes stories about her friends, neighbors, and herself. She practiced marriage, family, and child therapy for 30 years. Her journey started with the foreword written by Carl Jung in the I Ching. The idea of an intelligent universe where our dreams, attractions all manifest in perfect synchronicity set her on a path. Her writing attempts to capture this mystery through the archetypes as they manifest in our lives. And Linnea just had a big birthday, but she is so young at heart. So let's see, where did Linnea go? There she is. All right, take it away, Linnea.
Yeah, I'm a neighbor of Kelly's, and we live on Red Rock Road. And I thought a couple of years ago, I'm going to write some ghost stories about Red Rock Road. So this is one of them. Although there's not really a ghost in it. Gabriel's face, Linnea's face. A big husky Akita dog attacked Gabriel's face. Gabriel was in the hospital for days, hours of surgery. The dog lunged 3 times, tearing at Gabe's face. Gabriel's superpower, dog whisperer. He makes his way in the world, boarding, training, hiking dogs. Anything to do with dogs is Gabriel's gift. He wakes early, gets dogs out on the trail by 6, barefoot. I pick up every shard of broken glass I find on the trail to protect Gabe's feet or any other barefooted one. He goes north, Topanga to Smith River country, to be with his family, his daughter 12 and her mother. Gabriel brings me water unsolicited from his trips to Northern California. He believes the water from the springs of the Smith River watershed are healing. He brings me big 5-gallon containers of the holy water. Gabriel tried to corral the unfamiliar dog. The semi-feral animal lunged, biting Gabe's nose, lip, and arm. One nostril torn away, needing plastic surgery. The community, touched by Gabriel's generous spirit, rallied, helping with medical bills, meals, care. Gabe's face, my face. My face flew in slow motion over the handlebars of my 10-speed bike smashed into the asphalt pavement 45 minutes into a bike trip from Jedediah Smith State Park. My lip hung as Gabriel's nostril front teeth sliced through my lip. One broken tooth lives, the other blue-gray dies. 50 years ago, husband Walt and I camped in the Jedediah Smith State Park, Gabriel's same Smith River. It was the first day in the first hour of a bicycle road trip from the park to Oakland. 2 weeks, just the two of us. Our plan, we could catch the train home, Oakland to San Diego with our bikes and gear. Walt was right behind me as we cycled up the grade south of Crescent City. Last Chance is the name of the grade, Gabe tells me. From Crescent City south is a long stretch of highway with little commerce. We felt so vulnerable. I felt so vulnerable, pumping up the grade from sea level into the forest above on Highway 101. Camper trailers wagging behind family station wagons, loaded logging trucks whizzed by us. However, our focus held, surrounded by the beauty of redwoods and coastal woodlands, and the hopeful relationship healing adventures that lay before us in the next weeks. I was 28. We had been married for 6 years. We were at a challenging time in our marriage. At this point, I thought if we could just get away from our busy life in San Diego, we could get in tune with each other. I had longed for a time when it was just the two of us. I could show Walt the sights of my youth as a student at Humboldt State College, plus the unique spots along the Northern California coast. Now, I lay on the pavement, blood spewing from my face, my mouth bleeding into the dirt. Right behind us, on the highway as we came up the grade, a nurse in a small pickup pulled over, scooped us up, bicycles, panniers, me with my broken face and Walt. She did what she could, then delivered us to the Crescent City Hospital. There, a dentist did what he could, a temporary job. The emergency room people stitched up my busted lip and chin, lots of road rash on my cheeks and hands. We somehow got back to the park where our friends were camped. We spent the next few days so I could recover a bit. I hurt all over, my face puffed up, scuffed up, with lots of stitches and road rash. I looked like a freak. I had to use the public restroom several times a day. Families with small children coming and going. It was not pretty. I could not speak very well or at all. It was a time to be quiet, retreat inward, to be still. What I thought was going to happen didn't, couldn't. It was a time to go within. The time for words was no more. My bike hit a church key, a simple beer bottle opener, 6 inches long, a sharp pointed end, a rounded end. The front tire rolled over one end, flipped the metal bar into the spokes of the front tire at 90 degrees. The tire rotated until it quickly came to the front fork and stopped. I hit a wall. The bike hit the wall. I continued to sail over the handlebars. The front fork of the bike bent back an inch, we were told. My bike was never the same, nor my relationship, nor my life. In climbing the grade, we were working. Every push of the pedal moved us further up the grade and down the road. We were focused. Although we were working, there was energy to talk. I was telling Walt about a sculpture I was working on in a shady nook in our yard. It was of a young woman. It was me. It was the young women of our day rising. I used myself as a model. I had an old mirror propped up to help me see what needed to be done. I was telling Walt about working with the inert, lifeless clay, then seeing the alive, translucent skin of my body. The contrast was powerful. The denseness of the clay skin and the real translucence of alive flesh. I was so moved by the contrast. Crash! My flesh hit the pavement. Now, 50 years later, I was telling him on the phone. He shared how awful he felt. When the bike stopped, he ran into me, exacerbating the force of my fall. I never remember that part of the accident. How guilty he felt, he confessed. Now, when I tell this story to anyone or to myself, I share how I flew over the handlebars, hit the pavement, bounced to Meditation Mount Ojai, California for my next chapter. Somehow the universe redirected me and Walt into new chapters of our lives, not as marrieds. The universe does that sometime. You must give up the life you planned for the life that awaits you, Joseph Campbell tells us. In the interim years, when I need a dentist concerning my front teeth, the traumatic vulnerability revisits me. When I see Gabe's torn face, old traumas of my wounds find me. I take Gabriel a small basket with winter squash soup, lentil veggie soup with a couple of big straws, plus a tiny spoon that may fit between his swollen lips. It is difficult for him to get food through his lips. Someday, Gabe will move north through the last chance grade on his way to his family and a new chapter in his life. Today, I will enjoy the healing Smith River holy water from the place where, on the highway of life, I was redirected by a church key.
Yay, Linnea. Man, those church keys. Ay, ay, ay. Thank you for that. Okay, and Devra, here we go. All right. Let's see. Thea, I'll have you go first.
Well, this was such an interesting juxtaposition for me because as I was listening to you, I felt soothed and calm. But then I was like, what did she just talk about? The dead tooth and the ripped up face. So, and then I'm like looking at your bio. I'm like, she's a musician. Oh, well, yes, you are. Oh, a therapist. You're very sneaky in what you're trying to do here. But my question to you would be, what is your vision for the work? I mean, what is your intention for it? Is it, I love what I just heard, but is it a book? Is it what is your goal for it?
I don't know.
I think it's folk stories from this very special spot in the world.
Yeah, from our little neighborhood. That's sort of if it grew into something else. I'm at a stage of my life where I don't have any great ambitions for.
I have ambitions for Linnea.
I
have
know.
enough for everybody.
Yeah. And in all seriousness, I would not discourage you from seeking publication. I published Dr. Walt Miniger's book 6 months ago. He's 94 years old. And the interactions that he's had, just with individual people, that has been uplifting. That has lifted the vibe. So you're a vibe lifter and you have a lot of wisdom to share. So don't, just, there are publishers out there who publish people, who have a lot to share because they've led extraordinary life. So I would encourage you to keep on writing because I got the goosebumps just connecting with you.
Thank you.
Yay. Let's see, Joel, and then Deborah.
Yeah, so I think that I like everything Thea said about what you wrote, and I like that you kind of snuck it in. That was the exact right way to put it. It's not the kind of book that I publish, but I feel like you have stories to tell. And it sounds like Thea, has the idea of how to tell them. I was actually intrigued, by reading your bio that you were um, a therapist for 30 years and that you were inspired by the foreword written by Carl Jung in the I Ching, one of my favorite books, Jung's I Ching. And, I published a book, for instance, called Good Morning Monster, which is a therapist's story of 5 different patients that she had and the kind of the movement of how her work with them changed their lives. And there are there are famous books written by therapists with their works. Of course, you have to change all the identifying features. But I thought as you were reading this, I thought, oh, I bet she's got stories to tell from those 30 years. If you have the framework of archetypes and Carl Jung, and you mentioned Joseph Campbell, et cetera, I would also encourage you to put those stories down, because that, I bet, is probably filled with really interesting stories that people would love to read.
That's great.
Well, that is a strand of the writing that I intend to do, and maybe that would wind up being in a book. And I have they're not so much about actual patients, but more my experience of feeling the archetypes move through me and how that manifests in my life.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, you know what I'll say is, I mean, I've been doing this for 150 years now. So I've published over 2,000 books. And I've spoken at 100 million panels and done workshops and all that. What I have found is that there are books that people want to write for themselves because it's important for them to get these stories out for themselves, their friends, their family, etc. And then there are people who want to write stories for the world. They're different and they're both wonderful and they're both important. But if you want this to reach a larger audience, then it's important for you to dive, and this is for all of you, to dive in the literature of the types of books you're writing in and see what sells in that area. If you want your book to sell in that area, then what books already sell in that area? And then you don't have to copy them because you want it to be authentically you, but you then see, oh, okay, these books follow this kind of format, or they start this way, or whatever. But if you just want to write stories for yourself that you feel like you want to get out of you and that your friends and family, or you said that your neighborhood might enjoy, that's a different kind of publishing, and that's very personal. And I think they're both really wonderful. They're both really valid, and so pick what you want to do and then really go for it, because you've got descriptions. Clearly you have an amazing background and lots of stories to tell. So go for it, and just kind of pick your lane though where you want to go with it.
Nice. Thank you so much. Great feedback, everybody. I want to, we do have one more reader. I want everybody to stick around. One more. And we have one question in the chat from Joey. So as I'm shuffling around the spotlights, the question, actually, I should leave everybody in here. Let me put Thea back in for 1 second. Joey says to our professional panelists, I have barely even a whisper of social media numbers. Life has taken my attention to a son with mental illness for the last 8 years. My energy has not been outwardly based. How do people who have something to say still have success without followers. I hear the push, but my reality is not externalized. Devra. And then
And
Nancy
I'm
T is
just
up
gonna,
next. Okay, so
I just want to say this real quick because I do have to leave. I have another meeting. I'm moving to another state in 4 days. So
we'll get Nancy
I
T on to be quick like, but go ahead.
I'm gonna have to be out of here in 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But I would love to connect with Nancy outside of this, if you can connect us, Kelly, so I can have that
Okay.
connection. But as far as the social media for Joey, you're also welcome to call me after April 15th when I actually have unpacked. And I can walk you through some of the things, but I have several authors like this that I had them hire seniors in high school, and they're doing their social media for really cheap or for credit. And it's a good way if you don't have time or mindset to do it. Also, if you have a college degree, a lot of colleges will give a student college credit for working for somebody like you doing their social media, and it doesn't cost you anything at all except for your credentials. So, but please make sure the person that I'm missing connects with me. And I'm sorry that I have to go, y'all.
How about if we grab Joey so you can at least, grab Nancy and then have Joel and Thea. We'll resume on this on the back end. Is that okay? Okay. Let me get Nancy. I'm going to bring her up. Nancy T. Her name's Nancy Telsrow. Some call her Nancy T, but after her near-death experience and cryptogenic stroke, she was more like Nancy WTF. She's a certified Reiki, emotion code and body code healer and actress. No amount of healing or role could have prepared her for the emerging from the cocoon of selflessness to self-love. The piece she'll read tonight is from her work in progress memoir, The Butterfly Stroke, about her healing journey. Her website is nancytelsrow.com. So Nancy T, where are you, Nancy? There you are. Take it away.
Okay. What goes up must come down. I've been reading Brooke Shields' Not Allowed to Get Old, and it reaches a place in me I didn't know was raw and vulnerable. Lately, I've been posting on social media about the birds outside my window. I did a short video about a bird with no makeup on, me, not the bird, making a silly observation. This is a new thing I'm doing. Instead of finding the perfect filter or primping, I'm doing the I woke up like this approach, presenting myself as is. There was only one comment. It read like this: "You look so different." It was from a former male admirer. Every time I posted an image of me, he would gush about my looks. But this time, his only descriptive word was different. Well, right away, I took that ball and ran with it, imagining the horrible things he must have thought about me, which were probably similar to what I've been gasping over while looking at my reflection. But instead of jumping to conclusions, I decided to ask him, "What do you mean by that?" For the first time in the history of our posting, he did not reply. I was led to believe my assumptions were correct. I wish I could say I only thought about it that day, or that week, or even that month. But this was quite a while ago, and it still haunts me. This aging thing has me twisted, and I mean that literally. You should see me contort to take a selfie while being sure not to reveal how much weight I've gained, or how old I look, or the fact that my neck looks like a landing pad for my former face. And I really did like it better when it was above my jawline. I feel like somebody stormed the attic and messed with my painting. After decades of hearing I look 10 years younger than my age, I'm now average and careening towards, has anyone seen my dentures? So what the actual hell's going on here? I'm lotioning up and using oils, and I have far too many neck tightening creams. Then there's the plucking and tweezing, doing everything to look pleasing. Nothing is working. Well, face yoga does work, but I've been too lazy to do that, probably because I'm exhausted from applying all the damn moisturizers. I even have a face sling that's meant to return to sender the dangling skin on my neck. It's basically a straitjacket for the head, complete with Velcro fastens to help keep my chin up, which is what we're really trying to do anyway, right? I keep seeing my mom in the mirror, and as much as I love and miss her, I'm not ready to look like her just yet. It's freaking me out. Today was the capper, though. I was getting ready for church and I chose khaki overalls. But before I left, nature called. I went to the bathroom, I unclipped both sides of my overalls and proceeded to pull them down, but they wouldn't budge. I thought, oh no, I must have the zipper pulled up. Only there was no zipper. I thought, oh no, it must be a stuck button, but there was no button. So I saw the tie in front and figured, let me just tug on that for a moment. Only the tie was merely ornamental and had no actual use. How was it I could pull them up less than an hour prior, but they wouldn't come down? They were halfway lowered to my hips and suffocating my bulbous rear end that has also aged beyond the point of discussion. But I had business to do. There was a limited amount of time I could play this little game. Side note, I came to find out there is no way to hold in your hips. It's nothing like sucking in your stomach. And if you're trying to contract your butt, it will never be enough to get you out from under those overalls. Bottom line, either they shrunk or I grew. I was choking myself out in the pelvic region and I could take it no longer. Completely exasperated, I went to the kitchen and grabbed the shears. I cut down the side all the way to the top of my leg and dropped them to my ankles, liberating my Italian heritage, so to speak. I was officially over those overalls. I couldn't see myself sewing them, and I would never not be horrified at the fact I couldn't get my pants off. By the way, in case you were wondering, I had not eaten a morsel. I did not consume an ounce of liquid. I just stood there, fully in menopause apparently, gaining weight, watching my grandsons eat breakfast. I guess it's all it takes nowadays. I hear people say aging's not for the weak, but it's too mild a phrase. Aging is not for anyone who has feelings, self-esteem, desire to walk past a mirror, or happens to live in the United States, where we've been taught beauty and youth is all there is. I'm reminded of my near-death experience a year ago. To think I could have died and had a much more taut neck. I would have dodged the aging bullet. I am Dorian Gray no more. The part of me that is connected to the divine and is the reason I was headed to church in the first place knows intrinsically my beauty has nothing to do with my neck, above it or below it for that matter. In the past, I've been adored primarily for what was on the outside, and that has clearly colored my opinion of myself in a negative way. Yet there are those who have stuck by me, loving me regardless of my shell. They see the beauty of my spirit and the love inside me. Meanwhile, the Facebook friend who felt it necessary to add his 2 cents, which might be an inflated amount, has a profile picture that looks at least 30 years younger than his actual age. Perhaps we all want to see youthful versions of ourselves and cling to the desire to never grow old. My plan is to do everything to resist societal pressures, my inner critic, and to instead love myself as is. Overall, my overalls gifted me an exquisite lesson. Brooke Shields may not be allowed to get old, but I'm hoping I can with a modicum of grace. This essay was brought to you by my raging ego. No ids were harmed in its full-on indulgence.
Yay. All right, let me bring out Thea and Joel. And I think Deborah had to fly, but we've got, okay, so take it away, you guys. Joel.
Okay, I'll start. First of all, that was just wonderful. I mean,
Thank you.
you are just, yeah, I can tell you're an actor. I was looking at your social media while you were talking, but I didn't even need to because you just are it, and you performed that more than read it, and it was fantastic. And
Thank
I
you.
love you have the thing that a lot of people don't know how to do, which is you start the story, then you tell the story, and then you end the story where you started it, and you tie it all together. Fantastic. I love it. I don't know what the book is. I didn't quite understand it, but here's what, from your reading, from your bio here, from your website and your social media, here's what I would offer to you, which is you have a number of things going on. You know, you have two main, professionally, you have two kind of main areas. It looks like you have your acting, which if I were a casting agent, I would hire you tomorrow. That was fantastic. That was so good. But then the other side is you have the energy healing, and you work with my author, Brad Nelson. Thank you very much for working with him. And he has this new book coming out this fall, by the way. It's so good. It's called The Heart Code.
Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, it's so great. And he's such a nice man.
Yeah.
He's one of the nicest authors I've ever worked with. But so you have kind of two lanes. So I would, and then I looked on your Instagram and I thought, huh, all right. I vibe with you. You know, I really loved what you put on there, but it didn't tie into either of those things. So I thought this is a case, and this is something that maybe would be helpful for a lot of people here, which is you can choose different social media for different things. So for your Substack could maybe go into your energy healing. Your Instagram could go maybe personal life, and then LinkedIn could be for your acting or something like that. I mean, you can, or maybe Patreon is in there, or something like that. So you can really play around with it, but if you're going to write something that is supposedly about your memoir, The Butterfly Stroke, about your healing journey, you know, really pour a social media into that and really become known for that, because otherwise, why would anybody know to buy your book? Why would anybody want to buy your book if you don't already have kind of that following for it?
Okay.
And let me see what else I had here. Pick a name, different social media, Substack. But otherwise, I thought, oh, so is this book about your near-death experience? I mean, what is the book about?
Okay, so I have the structure exact. It starts off in heaven, because I actually went to the other side. It starts off in heaven, then it goes to my past, then it goes to when I was sick, then it goes to the future, which happened, or not the future, but the present, which came from being in heaven, all this stuff I learned from it. So there are a lot of funny stories about my life in between, but it's about my life before I got sick, which stressed me out to the point of stroke, and then my life after.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question, and I'm doing this as a workshop with you for a second, but this is true for all of you. Clearly, you probably read books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a bookshelf or bookcase filled
Yeah,
with books.
there.
How many of them are personal stories of people who have gone through strokes?
One.
Okay, how many of the books are books about near-death experiences?
Probably like 6 or 7.
6 or 7, okay. And how many of them are just kind of memoirs of people with interesting lives?
Those would be Kelly's.
Okay, Kelly, 1. So here's what I'm saying, which is, you know, it's important. People want to write about their life story. It's really important to them. But think about it. Who wants to buy it? Your story needs to connect with an audience that is already out there. If you don't buy these kinds of books, who is going to?
No, it's an excellent point.
So I would say to you what we talked about, I think in the very first one, which is really kind of narrow down what you want to write about. Maybe it's a near-death book, a near-death experience book, or maybe it's this book or that book, but really make it so crystal clear that there is an identifiable audience for what it is. And the last thing I'll say is, you know, I thought with your writing style, there's a famous book, very different book. So I'm not comparing the content of your book,
Okay.
but from an actress named Jeanette McCurdy called "I'm Glad My Mom Died," which is a very personal memoir of this famous actress, about her life and her mother and her family and all of that. And I thought, oh, she's in that kind of Jeanette McCurdy genre, in the sense that they can write about really big things, but they can write about them with humor. And that's not everybody can do that. That's a real gift. And I really see all of the work. Oh my gosh, I really recognize in you, Nancy, all of the work that you've done to this point, all of the not just the acting and the energy healing, but how you just have brought them all together. And I really think it's fantastic. Pick a lane, Make your social medias really specific so that they have specific audiences. Build it and they will come.
Ooh,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Joe. That's great.
Okay, Joel,
Thea.
that's hard to follow. You know? And I just want to say that I love participating in this event because I learned so much. I've learned so much tonight, and I'm inspired. This may date me, Nancy, but I wrote down she's the modern Irma Bombeck. Are you old
Oh.
enough to know? You know? And boy,
That's
I
awesome.
miss her. I miss her. It's hard to be funny, though, you know, in my family we have competitions for it. I think it's even harder to be funny when you're writing. And I loved what you said there, Joel, about how many books on the bookshelf. My bookcase is overflowing with near-death experience books, but they are all pretty intense and, you know, very serious and, you know, very spiritual, metaphysical. To have a humorous near-death experience book, boy, I'd publish that one in a heartbeat. I think that's a lot of fun. And then when this was laugh out loud. When a lot of women of a certain age can certainly relate to your menopause references. Jamie Lee Curtis and Oprah are talking about it right now. So it's a very hot topic, pun intended. And then I love where you're going, the butterfly stroke, because to me, butterfly is such a metaphysical, you know, transformative. The butterfly just turns into goo and then becomes all new again. So I am a little confused about where you're going with it, and I wonder where this book fits in the chapter because, you know, you're clearly kind of, you know, on the, you know, on the ego, oh, you know, how do I look? You know, and I don't know how that fits in with your near-death experience. It was a little jarring. It was like, what? You had a near-death experience? But boy, I'm just so intrigued. And I'm hearing you read the audiobook. So you've got a lot of good stuff going there. So best of luck to you. It's exciting.
By the way, Thea is exactly right. And I love the Irma Bombeck reference because Irma had a gift. People have tried to be Irma, but Irma had a gift where she could be funny with a point.
Mhm.
Like Andy Rooney had a point, but he wasn't
Right.
funny. Irma Bombeck had a point, but she could make you laugh and
Right.
cry at the
Yes.
same time. You know, if life is a bowl of cherries, why am I in the pits?
Why I'm in the pits. And the thing about that was I was in junior high and my 70-some-year-old grandma and I would read that. We both read it and we both loved it. So, you know,
Yeah.
you can appeal to a wide audience
Oh,
through humor. That's a
through that.
gift. Yeah.
And that sparked something with me, which is I published this author. I'm going to put the TikTok. Oh, wait, I just sent it to Timothy only. Sorry. Let me send it to everyone. A TikTok author named Gwenna Lathland, but her TikTok name is Mama Cuss, and she's very different from you, Nancy. I'm not comparing you to her. Except in the Irma Bombeck way, which is that she just takes her life and makes it funny and tells stories that have a point. And we published her first book and got it on the New York Times bestseller list because she has 3 million TikTok followers. Wow. And the reason she has 3 million TikTok followers is she just shows up, is real, and you just love it. And so I put it on there in case you want to, you know, go on TikTok and be you and make people laugh and have fun and all of that. So
I am on TikTok and sometimes that happens.
oh, you are? What is your TikTok?
Yeah. It's
What is-
it's Nancy T with 4 E's. Do you remember the book I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron?
Yes.
That was something I read years ago before I had any issue with my neck, and I thought this is so funny. You know, now I'm living it.
Nancy, you're way too hard on yourself, girlfriend.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's so true.
You're beautiful.
Forget that old weird guy.
Well, you know what? That's a great
Comp.
is a great comparison, and that is something to go for. But then I would say to you, and that, by the way, fits in with I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy.
Yes.
I would say to you then to really pick one social media and really make it that audience then so that you become known for it. You can pick 2 if you want, but it's better to just really dive into one and go for it
Okay.
for that topic.
Ooh,
All right.
awesome. So I want to
Thanks
just,
for sticking around because I know this is overtime. So thank you both for doing that.
yeah, this has been so wonderful. I want to, I was just gonna say if you're gonna do like it's kind of like, I'm worried about my neck meets Anita Marjani meets
Mhm.
the, I'm glad my mother died.
Well, that may be too many in one.
Right.
That may
Pick
be
two of
mixing
those.
too many. Yeah.
Right.
Pick any two.
Pick any two.
Any two.
Exactly. So I want to, as we're wrapping up, this has been so joyous and so enlightening. And Deborah, I know you're still with us in spirit because you'll watch this later. Thank you for your wisdom. Thea Rodemaker, thank you so much for your wisdom. And Joel Fotinos, you've been so wise and so nurturing and so supportive. I feel like this isn't just, it's not like the American Idol of the Simon Cowell and the mean, it's like this is all so supportive. And I'm just really grateful. Joel, you raised your hand.
Just because I don't want to lose it, Joey had a question that we didn't fully answer.
Oh, that's true. Thank
I had
you.
something
Yes.
I wanted to say
Oh, please.
to
Yes.
that, which is Joey said in the comments to our professional panelists, I have barely even a whisper of social media numbers. Life has taken my attention to a son with mental illness for the last 8 years. My energy has not been outwardly based. How do people who have something to say still have success without followers? I hear the push, but my reality is not externalized. So I would say we could have a whole hour about that, but in 30 seconds, what I would say is, first of all, you can begin where you are. So Thea and I both do really wonderful forms of publishing, but they're different kinds of publishing. And I think that Thea is a good place to start with for your message. And I'm so impressed with what Thea said tonight, and I think you'd be in great hands. The other thing I would say, though, is take your life and turn it into the social media that to create a community that fits what you want to write. So for instance, you say here, I barely have a whisper of social media numbers. Life has taken my attention to a son with mental illness for the last 8 years. So stopping there for a second, there are plenty of examples of people who have done TikToks or Instagrams or other forms of social media about one topic, having a son with mental illness, and turning that into, posting daily about that experience, cultivating an audience who also has that experience, building those numbers, and that becomes something very important. Case in point, there's a TikTok guy who has a father who has Alzheimer's, and it's really hard for him, and he films his father in the experience of Alzheimer's, and they have these conversations over and over. And if you've had a parent with dementia, you understand it. Anyway, he ended up starting with like 50 followers, and then it went to 500 followers, and then 1,500 followers. And he ended up being with hundreds of thousands, and I think millions of followers, just because he was talking about his life and being authentic about it and all of that. It built so big that people reached out to him and said, maybe you have a memoir about you and your father. And so I always tell people, if you build your platform, publishers will find you. And platform is that important. So the key to platforms is picking one social media and posting as often as you can, daily if you can. Just, you don't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be polished. It can be very just plain, real. If you pick Instagram, all you have to do on Instagram is you push Instagram record. You just do your thing. Here I am. I just was in this writing seminar, and they said that I had a lot of good things, but they also said this. Well, I say, okay, I'll try. Click, and then you post it, and then it's done, and then people can react to it. That's how easy it is. It's not hard. it just means being consistent with whatever it is. But
Mm.
really figure out your brand, go with it, and then whatever you want to write about, make sure that your social media matches it.
Really
Joel,
like what
thank you.
said about Joel, what you said about choosing a social media platform for each of your different things, because I
Yeah.
do a lot of different things. So that was really also very helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Yeah. You know, years ago, I learned that lesson years ago when I was with a spiritual teacher, and I said, "Oh, I really am. I'm so interested in this religion. I'm so interested in this religion. I'm so interested in this one, and I'm so interested." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, you have a choice." And I said, "Okay, what's my choice?" And he said, "You can dig 8 shallow wells or 1 deep one. Do you want to be shallow or do you want to be deep?" It was like, oh, yeah, all right.
Ooh,
Pick one and go deep
nice.
with it. And then the weird thing is you think when you pick one and go deep with it, that you're going to be isolated, that it's too specific or something. But paradoxically, when you pick a lane, you actually attract more people, because now there's something specific about you that people can relate to. If you were a generalist, you're not sticky, you're not magnetic. There's nothing for people to really hold on to. But if you're specific, then it's like, oh, got it. And Julia Cameron, for years, you know, she wrote The Artist's Way. And for years, she would say, in the early years, she would say, I don't want to just be the Artist's Way teacher. I'm many things. I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. And then she was like, oh, wait, this door is open. I love it. I'm good at it. Why don't I follow it? And she did. And by following The Artist's Way, she went from, you know, the first printing of The Artist's Way was 9,000 copies. And now it's millions and millions and millions of copies. It sells more every year. 35 years later, it still sells more every year. And that has opened up doors for all the other things she wanted to do. She picked something, went deep with it, that deep well, and it opened up all the doors.
Ooh, woo,
Amen.
thank you.
Amen. Okay, on
So
that
Kelly,
note,
with your
yeah.
dreams, that's
Right.
why your
Awesome.
dream manifesting really captured my eye. Is you really
Mm.
embodied that, and you had a concept that nobody else had. So,
Oh,
and isn't
thank
Kelly
you.
wonderful, by the way?
Oh my
Oh
Oh,
my God,
She
thank
made
she's
you.
people applaud for
amazing.
other people, but we can applaud for her
Ah,
too.
I
Hey,
so appreciate
Jazz
that.
hands,
Oh my
Kelly.
God.
jazz
That's
hands.
so sweet, you
Awesome.
guys. Oh
Bob
my
Fosse,
goodness. Bob Fosse.
Aw.
Okay, where I'm trying to put myself
2
in
of
here.
hearts.
I don't know. 2 of hearts. That's
And
right.
Thea was trying to say something too.
Oh,
Thank you so
Thea,
much, Joel.
please. Thank you,
Oh, well,
Joel.
I know, Jill, that was amazing. I understand what it feels like to feel overwhelmed. When I started Flint Hills Publishing 10 years ago, I was so freaking naive, I can't even tell you. But I just had trust, and I knew what I'd do it a step at a time. And as Kelly started out with the beautiful prayer in the beginning, you know, set your intention, ask the universe, give with an open hand. We know all of these things, and do the work. But don't judge yourself. And remember, there is always an amazing option. As Kelly started her writing career with self-publishing. Just be cautious about it. You know, you download my book. I talk about a whole bunch of scams and different things to watch out for that.
I love your book.
There's
Everybody has to have your
oh
book. I want to plug your
oh,
book.
you're so
Yeah, I
sweet.
downloaded
Thank
Everybody
you.
it
grab
too.
it
It's
before you
awesome.
leave.
Yeah.
I've updated it with some AI stuff. But yeah, it's we're all just trying to do the very best we can. You know, Joel has had an amazing career and he's so deep. His well is so deep, but that doesn't mean the rest of us can't start digging ours too. So, you know, best
Ooh.
Well,
of luck
Thea,
to all of you.
your well is deep too. I was going on your
Oh,
website.
well,
You've done
it's
look at the
getting there.
breadth and depth of work you've done. And you're from
Oh, I know
Kansas.
he's looking at my website.
I was born in Kansas, so we have that to share.
Fabulous.
Oh my goodness. So thank you. Infinite gratitude, so much that gratitude for all the generosity of the experts, Thea Rodemaker, Joel Fotinos, and Devra Jacobs, and all of the writers, Joey and Karina and Nancy T and Linnea, and I'm trying to find everybody, Timothy and Hannah and Yvonne And who am I missing? Julie. And thank you everybody for coming and supporting as well. It means the world. I'm getting all choked up. My dog is on my lap and I'm getting all verklempt, but this has been so wonderful. Go forth and multiply, take this wisdom, let it drop deep. Do a meditation after this. I'm going to send out the recording later because this is so much to meditate on. Such incredible wisdom. I feel so blessed to have you all in my life. Joel, Thea, Deborah, and all of you wonderful writers. Thank you for your courage. By the way, there's a next version of the artist showcase. It starts in a couple weeks. So there's only space for a handful of people and it's almost filled. So if you're interested, go check it out because this to me is exactly what I wish I had so many years ago when I was fumbling in the dark. And we can break those odds. We can flip the script. It's such an honor. Okay. With this, go forth and multiply the blessings. Sweet dreams. Two of hearts. Two hearts that beat as one. I
We
need you.
connect. We connect.
Joel and I have Stacy Q in common, so shout out to Stacy Q.
I don't know why I can't do that.
I think you have to hit some kind of a thing on your computer. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. It just happens.
It
Okay.
says recognize hand gestures. All right.
All right, you
Bye,
guys.
everybody. Thank you.
See you next time. Sweet
Good
dreams.
night, everyone.
Bye.
Best of luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you.